Hello, everybody, and welcome here to White House Field. Tyler Henry alongside Colin Casey as we head to game number 31. Just 14 games and 2 weeks left in the season, and time's starting to wind down here on the Harwich Mariners as they will be having an excellent opportunity to take advantage of a Hyannis team that comes in here at just 6-22-1. This is a Hyannis team that has already picked up one victory against the Harwich Mariners this season, but the Mariners do lead the season series 2-1, and they'll look for another victory here to snap a 2-game losing streak here at White House Field. Hello, everybody. Thank you once again for joining us here on the Harwich Mariners YouTube network. I'm Tyler Henry, and I'll be joined today, as always, by Colin Casey. And Colin, it really does feel like every game is becoming a must-win, but today especially against the Hyannis Harborhawks team that, let's just be honest, has been subpar in the Cape this season and kind of on a different level from the rest of the team. This is a must-win game for a Harwich squad coming off of two back-to-back very, very tough losses.
Well, first of all, the Mariners are fortunate to even be in this situation right now with the couple of heartbreaking losses they had, as you mentioned yesterday, leading going into the 8th inning before YD scores 4 times and steals a victory from you on the road. But, you know, the Mariners have gotten pretty lucky, pretty fortunate that Brewster hasn't been able to take advantage of it and make a gap between them. And, in fact, Brewster getting the earlier start today, they're trailing by 5 in the top of the 5th. So another opportunity for the Mariners to maybe surpass the Brewster Whitecaps. Of course, Brewster has one less game played, but with Connor McCullough on the mound, it's a great opportunity for Harwich to finally get back to their winning ways.
Connor McCullough was absolutely dynamite against Chatham on national television about a week ago here at White House Field in a game where he was able to completely shut out the Chatham Anglers in a victory 2-0. He pitched 8 innings, gave up just 3 hits, struck out 10, no walks for him on the day, and gave up 0 runs in 8 shutout innings of ball, and he'll look to do the same here against a Hyannis lineup that has been struggling this season. And let's take a look at that lineup. Leading things off and hitting from the left side will be Jordan Westberg, the shortstop, then Rigsby Mosley, the DH, Trevor Hopper out in left field today, Hunter Goodman, your right fielder, Ian Fair at first, Jackson Olsen at third, Mitch McIntyre in center, Adam Hackenberg, your catcher today, and Anthony Servideo playing second. So for the Harwich Mariners, they're looking to get back on the winning column, and that'll start here as the first pitch is going to be delivered from McCullough down low for ball 1. And let's take a look at the Harwich defense today. Pat Winkle gets the start behind home plate. It'll be Chris Lanzilli over at first. Christian Fetko takes second. Dylan Noisy at short. Nico Cavadas at third, as this one's going to be taken into left field for a hit, and that'll be taken to Chris Gallant, who's out in left, Max Marshak in center, and Joey Weimer out in right. And Jordan Westberg, who just got on with that hit, Colin, has been absolutely on fire here in a Harborhawks lineup that otherwise has kind of struggled this year.
Yeah, Westberg provides a little bit of pop in that leadoff spot with 3 home runs on the season, hitting .357. So this is a guy who has gotten on base for you early, and now it's important that the guys behind him can step up. Let's see what Rigsby Mosley can do with a man on first.
Defense will remain standard here for Rigsby Mosley, who stands in from the right side, and the first pitch is going to be in for a called strike 1. But Colin, he takes the ball to the opposite field an awful lot.
Yeah, he certainly does. As a lefty, he kind of doesn't really pull the ball. And looking at his spray chart, there wasn't a ton of balls hit down that right field line. In fact, I don't think there was a single one that he's been able to yank down the line.
0-1 swung on and missed. High fastball there as McCullough gets Mosley to climb the ladder. So Rigsby Mosley hitting in the 2-hole here for Hyannis today. And he comes into today hitting .217 on the year. For as bad as Hyannis has been this year in the batter's box, it's been the pitching that's really killed him, as McCullough will throw over to first and check Jordan Westberg back to the bag. And Westberg was hitting like his bat was on fire to start the year. He went 12 for his first 20 with 3 home runs, 5 extra base hits, and 6 RBIs. So his bat hasn't cooled down an awful lot as strike 3 is going to be called. McCullough comes with the off speed and punches out Rigsby Mosley with a beaut on the inside edge.
This is what McCullough did a lot of his last start. He struck out 10 Chatham Anglers. He's off to a good start in this one after giving up the single. Now it's important to get through this heart of the lineup. Pretty solid heart of the order despite the struggles that Hyannis has had this season, including Hunter Goodman on deck, who leads the entire league and runs batted in.
Yep, and here comes Trevor Hopper, who will stand in first with a runner on first, and Hopper will take the first pitch. That one's going to be in there for strike 1. McCullough really attacking the zone here early and often against this lineup. You get the feeling he knows that they've struggled a bit this season to produce runs, so he's not going to be shy about coming right at him with his best stuff, especially after being named pitcher of the week last week, as swinging and missing at that one off speed is Trevor Hopper, and that'll give us a chance to take a look at what Connor McCullough has in his pocket. One of the more traditional pitchers. Just 2 pitches for him, though, a fastball and a splitter, and he's developing something else off speed, Colin, that you and I saw quite a bit in his last outing. As it may be a changeup as this one comes home, and it's going to be fouled away to keep it an 0-2 count.
Definitely wouldn't be a pitch that would hurt him in any way. I mean, that thing comes in looking like a fastball, and all of a sudden you see it dip down below and take off, 8 to 10 miles an hour. It could really be a difference maker in his arsenal.
So McCullough from the stretch. Here comes the next pitch, and that one will also be fouled off. So a good fight here by Trevor Hopper out of Arizona State. One of the few non-infielders or pitchers here on the Cape. And he's fallen behind here 0-2, but chance for him to battle his way back. So Hopper digs in from the right side, runner on first with one away here for the Harbor Hawks in their half of the first inning, and the pitch from McCullough. And there's that changeup, strike 3 called, and it's going to be back-to-back looking strikeouts to start the first here for Connor McCullough.
And McCullough's looked really strong all season long, although the results haven't really been able to show that. In fact, the win against Chatham on July 9th is the first win the Mariners have had in a game which McCullough has appeared in. So 1-3 on the season in games he's pitched in, but he's been pitching really well lately, so hopefully that'll flip the script.
Here he will face off against Hunter Goodman. As you mentioned, Goodman does lead the league in RBIs, which is strange for a team that on the year has won just 6 games. But they'll take a first pitch strike in here. And yeah, for Connor McCullough, it's been kind of an unfortunate bout as he does boast a 1-0 record, but they have not been able to get many wins. Just a .55 ERA for him as he gets the foul ball to be knocked back here by Hunter Goodman. And he has struck out 20 guys this season compared to only 4 walks. He's given up just 2 runs all season long. One of them was unearned. And with a fresh arm, he's been able to go deeper into ball games. So it's been phenomenal. But again, as you mentioned, Colin, he hasn't gotten a whole lot of run support this year. Here comes the 0-2 pitch. That one's going to miss low and away. Hunter Goodman not willing to chase.
Goodman was held hitless in yesterday's contest against Falmouth, but he had a 4-game hitting streak prior to that point, which included 4 extra base hits during that stretch.
McCullough's 1-2 to Goodman. There's that changeup again, and that will miss low, so the count is even here at 2-2. So with the 2-2 count, the runner will take a pretty good lead off of first. Here comes the pitch, and once again keeping it off speed. That looked more like the splitter. That will miss, and the count is now full.
Westberg, without any steals on the season, he's actually been caught 3 times, but he'll be off with the pitch.
So here comes the pitch. That's going to be fouled away. The count will stay full here as getting a head start is Jordan Westberg. You mentioned some good speed for him as well. Really a 5-tool player and something that Hyannis needed coming into this game and coming into this part of the season.
Yeah, the one issue, though, with Hyannis running the bases is they've been caught the second most times this season, 14 caught stealings.
So he'll get another head start here. This one's going to be driven out into center field, but plenty of time for Max Marshak to settle under it and make the catch for out number 3. So the leadoff man gets aboard, but nothing doing for the Hyannis Harbor Hawks. We go now to the home half of the first inning. It'll be Harwich trying to put some runs up when we come back here on the Mariners YouTube network. Welcome back to White House Field. Tyler Henry alongside Colin Casey as we go here to the home half of the first, and Harwich will have to do their part here and take advantage of a pitching staff that for the first time this season, Colin, finally has a team ERA under 7.0. It's been a tough go of it for the Hyannis Harbor Hawks staff, but starting to figure things out here as the season goes on.
Yeah, and it's hopefully for them not too little too late, but things are looking bleak, them being a total of 6.5 games back of Bourne in that race for the final playoff spot in the West. But again, you see improvement, and that's kind of the whole point of being out here on the Cape, is to improve your game over the summer. And Hyannis finally getting that ERA below 7, and Let's see if they can continue to chip away at it as they take on a Harwich Mariners lineup that has been inconsistent at best this season.
It'll be Tyler Madison out there on the bump here for the Hyannis Harborhawks, and he has no 1-1 record. That one loss came against Harwich right here at White House Field a couple of weeks ago in a 6-0 victory for the Mariners. And so far this year, he's been pretty good, a 4.0 ERA through 18 innings pitched and 14 strikeouts to only 5 walks. He's given up 9 runs, though, and that seems to be the biggest thing for Hyannis. They give up runs in bunches, so Harwich will be sending out a pretty good lineup to try to counter that and put some runs up of their own. It'll be Daniel Cabrera in the DH slot. He leads things off today. Following him will be left fielder Chris Gallen, then third baseman Nico Cavadas, Christian Fetko getting the start at second, Joey Weimer in the 5-hole out in right, Chris Lanzilli at first, Pat Winkle getting the catcher spot, Dylan Noisy at short, and Max Marshak out in center. So Daniel Cabrera, who snapped a pretty long hitting streak of his own a few days ago, will stand in first, and Madison comes set. The first pitch from him is going to be in there. Actually, it's just going to miss high and away, and the count is 1-0. So with a 1-0 count, Daniel Cabrera digs in. Here comes the pitch, and that will also miss outside. So being awfully careful with the strike zone here to Cabrera is Madison. Let's set the defense really quickly for the Hyannis Harborhawks. Adam Hackenberg gets the start behind the dish. It'll be Fair over there at first. Anthony Servideo at second as the 2-0 is swung on and missed by Daniel Cabrera. Westberg gets the start at short. Olsen over there at third. Trevor Hopper in left. McIntyre in center, and Goodman out in right. The 2-1 is on its way, and that'll be swung on and tipped back into the glove here by Daniel Cabrera, who has evened up the count at 2-2.
Yeah, Cabrera, a balanced hitter in which he takes the ball to the opposite field just as equally as much as he pulls it, which is something you see out of a lot of really good players in this level.
Cabrera will foul this one away, and Colin, you were doing some research on Daniel Cabrera, and what he's been doing in the summer has certainly paid off for him, hasn't it?
Yeah, it certainly has, as some of the way too early draft predictions for 2020 have him going somewhere in the middle of the first round, so definitely high prospect across the league.
And here he'll take one up the middle. It's going to be the leadoff man aboard here for the Harwich Mariners as Cabrera kind of got out in front of that one, but just slowed the bat through the zone and takes it up the middle for the first Harwich hit of the afternoon.
And that right there is why Daniel Cabrera has so many eyes on him. The ability to kind of adjust mid-swing and be able to get a piece of one, especially in a 2-2 count like that. Just got enough of it to flare it over Madison's head, and it ends up in center field. So now the Mariners have the leadoff man on to begin the first.
Yep, and here comes Chris Gallen, the left fielder for Harwich today, who has been here since day one. Gallen looking to continue on a pretty impressive season, and after kind of going through a slow patch of about 2 weeks, he has really picked it up. They'll square around the bunt and pull the bat back here to take ball one. We'll see whether they want to utilize the speed and maybe play some small ball here. Chris Gallen comes in today on the season, hitting .231. Pitch is brought home, and that's going to be in there for strike one, I believe. That is the first call or taken strike of the day here. So with a runner on first, Gallen will shorten up the bat a little bit. Cabrera takes a lead over at first base. They'll throw over to check his speed. And Colin, this might be the fastest lineup we've seen at any point out of Harwich this season.
Yeah, it certainly seems like it. We got Joey Weimer, Galland, and Marshak all in the outfield, plus Daniel Cabrera as a DH, and he's on first base right now. We'll see if he might run.
And don't forget about Dylan Noisy as well. Right on cue, there goes Cabrera down to second. It's a good throw, but not nearly in time. And Cabrera moves up into scoring position here with nobody out.
Yeah, we've seen him kind of get a little more confidence on the base paths as the season has gone on. As we're into July, and it seems like he's stealing more and more bases. That's now 3 steals in his last 4 games.
At 36 for the Mariners as a team. I believe that's still good enough for 4th place in the league. So with a 1-2 count here on Chris Gallen, the runner moves up into scoring position, and even a productive out by Gallen would put the runner just 90 feet away for Nico Cavadas. Here comes Madison's 1-2. That's going to go behind the catcher. Cabrera takes off. There won't even be a throw, and, well, that'll be just as well. Daniel Cabrera now just 90 feet away, and Harwich has only had one batter come up to the plate today. He's already on third base.
Yep, great opportunity now for Chris Gallen to drive in that run. He had an RBI in, I believe it was 2 days ago. We picked up an RBI in that game against Bourne, so we'll see if he can continue that stretch.
2-2 is a curveball. That'll be taken into center field, and it's going to get down. So Cabrera comes in to score, and the Mariners take a 1-0 lead here after just 2 batters. A dream start here for Harwich.
And it's just a testament to how much depth the Mariners have at that outfield position. You got a guy like Chris Galland, who hasn't really been an everyday starter for the Mariners. He comes in, and first at bat that he has in this one, he just does a nice job of easily dropping a ball over the center fielder or over the shortstop's head into center field, and quickly Harwich with a 1-0 lead.
So here comes Nico Cavadas, who will be the third batter of the afternoon, and still plenty of speed on the base pass for Harwich as Chris Galland does lead the team in stolen bases. He'll take a pretty good lead over at first and watches the first pitch go by down here in the dirt. It'll be a 1-0 count here on Nico Cavadas.
It's now 8 runs scored in the last 9 games for Daniel Cabrera.
He has been one of the team's leading providers of both runs and runs batted in this season. I believe he's still third on the team in RBIs, following the 4 RBI performance yesterday out of Joey Weimer. Want to get into that game here in just a moment, as a pickoff move over to first is not in time. It was a game that Harwich was in control of, let's be honest, the entire game long, but at the end of the day, it was just one swing of the bat and a 3-run home run on a pinch hit, no less, by Jack Thomas Wald that gave YD a victory and Harwich a 2-game losing streak.
And off a very tough pitcher in Joe Boyle.
Another pickoff move over to first, once again, just trying to keep the runner close. Yeah, Joe Boyle has not given up a home run all season long, but I'll tell you what, when you throw with that much velocity, 98, 99 miles an hour, sometimes the bat does half the work for you, and just the exit velocity was so quick, it was a no-doubter off the bat of Jack Thomas Wald. So Harwich looking to rebound here. Nico Cavadas standing in, Galland on first, and a 1-0 count. Tyler Madison will deliver the next pitch, and Cavadas will hit this one high in the air out to straightaway center. Settling under it is McIntyre, and he'll make the catch for out number 1.
Galland was all the way down to second base, and very mindful of where that ball was, looked out towards center field, saw that McIntyre was camped under it, and just retreated simply back to first. And
we'll see whether or not they elect to try to run on Adam Hackenberg once again. It seemed like Harwich had a field day running on him during that doubleheader, as they were able to amass 4 stolen bases during that series. And Christian Fetko will stand in now, but Galland's got plenty of speed, and again, Hackenberg, not the strongest arm in the league. Back behind the dish. So Fetko stands in from the left side. Tyler Madison comes to the belt, taking a long look in, and finally he will deliver the first pitch that Fetko will watch go by for ball 1.
Yeah, this 4, 5, and 6 part of the lineup for the Mariners, all strong pull hitters, so if you're on the left side of the field, you should probably be expecting something hit your way, and the infielder is probably looking to turn too.
Madison works with a fastball, a curveball, and a changeup, so a couple of different pitches in his arsenal, as the 1-0 will miss low, a fastball in the dirt for ball 2. Of course, Tyler Madison out of Bryant University, so we've talked about it a couple times, but one of the smaller schools, and he has made his way out here to one of the most prestigious, actually the most prestigious summer league in all of baseball.
Not too far from the campus in Smithfield, Rhode Island either.
I was actually about to ask. I wasn't 100% sure where Bryant University was on the map. So with a 2-0 count, Chris Galland on first, Christian Fetko up to the dish, and a fastball will miss low here, as control becoming an issue for Tyler Madison. The last time he went up against Harwich, he pitched 4 1/3. He gave up 4 hits, 4 runs, only 3 of them earned, and struck out just 2 without walking a single batter. So at risk of putting his first Mariner on base for free here, with a 3-0 count on Christian Fetko. Fetko puts the bat back on the shoulder, and this is going to be a fastball in there for a strike, so the green light will be flicked on here. And calling the guy who might be more angry about yesterday's loss than anybody else is standing on deck. It's Joey Weimer, who was able to amass 4 RBIs yesterday, but it ended up being all for naught in a losing effort.
Might have another RBI chance here. Fetko finds a way to reach base.
Fetko will stand in with a 3-1 count. Madison checks the runner and brings it home. Galland taking off, and Fetko will foul that one away. So it'll be a full count here on Fetko. Weimer standing on deck, and the double play very unlikely here with all the speed on the base pass with Galland and Fetko.
And you know, I don't hate the idea of sending Galland again here with a full count. If Fetko's able to put one on the ground, he'd be able to at least get to second and maybe third. And even if he swings and misses, Galland's got enough speed where he might be safe regardless.
Well, you got to think, too, with the ball hitting the gap, he'd have an opportunity to potentially score. Here comes the payoff, and that one's going to be raked into left field, but it's going to be chasing back Hopper to the wall, and he'll make the catch just short of it for out number 2.
And Fetko was sitting fastball there. Madison gave one to him pretty low in the zone, but he was able to go down and kind of hit a nice little line drive out towards left. But as you mentioned, Trevor Hauer played in the perfect position, so Joey Weimer, not exactly an ideal RBI chance, but we've seen him get a hold of one before, so maybe he can extend this Harwich Mariners lead.
Since Nico Cavadas hit his second home run, correct me if I'm wrong, Colin, I don't think a single Harwich Mariner has hit another one out. Seems like
not one that's counted. Chris Lanzilli, of course. Yeah.
But aside from that, as Gallen takes off on the first pitch, and he's going to be in there easily, not even a throw from Hackenberg, as that changeup was down in the dirt. So another runner in scoring position here for Joey Weimer, but yeah, Weimer one of, I believe, 6 guys on the active roster with a home run. But since Cavadas has hit number 2, he's also hit 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, and nobody else has had an official home run. So Weimer stands in with a 1-0 count. Tyler Madison comes to the belt, kicks and fires, and the off speed there is going to be in there for strike 1. Tyler Madison was tied for first on Bryant's squad in wins and second in starts, innings pitched, and strikeouts during 2019. So a pretty impressive campaign and an improvement over where he spent last summer as he was in the NECBL with the Newport Gulls. Here he will miss a fastball low and away to Weimer to make it a 2-1 count.
That makes sense for him to be playing down in Newport, considering I believe it's about an hour and a half from Smithfield, of course, southernmost part of Rhode Island, not counting Block Island.
So with a 2-1, Weimer will stand back in. An opportunity to pick up his 5th RBI in 2 days here in his first at bat today. And here comes the 2-1, swing and a miss, and a ball well down in the dirt. And Weimer may have been sitting on a low fastball there. Thing on Tyler Madison, he's gotten a lot bigger as time's gone on, as he put on almost 20 pounds of muscle between his freshman and sophomore seasons. He weighed just 217 as a freshman, but really bulked up, and it's kind of helped his pitching arm out here as the 2-2 pitch is on its way. Weimer will foul that one off, and the count stays 2 even here in the home half of the first.
Yeah, I did go back and check, and it is true that Cavadas, since his second home run, no one, in fact, has homered since then, so see if the Mariners can kind of find a late season power surge up and down their lineup rather than going through just one guy. And we know Daniel Cabrera's probably come close a few times. He hit the fence on that bases clearing triple a couple of nights ago against Wareham in that doubleheader.
Yeah, Cavadas got that first bomb along with Daniel Cabrera. Both of those coming in the 4th inning, I believe, in Game 1, where Harwich got the victory 7-2, but then they handed Hyannis their first victory in 2-7 form as taking off, and it's not going to matter as Weimer swings through the pitch there for strike 3, and that will end the inning. We go to the second, but a 1-0 Harwich lead here. Mariners on top when we come back here on the Harwich Mariners YouTube network. Welcome back to White House Field. Tyler Henry alongside Colin Casey as we go on to the second inning of play. And coming up to lead things off here for the Hyannis Harbor Hawks is another new face to the lineup. It'll be Ian Fair, a guy who has not seen Harwich yet this year. First pitch he sees is a strike by Connor McCullough, and a very different philosophy by Connor McCullough than Tyler Madison as he is pounding the zone. Madison trying to stay away from it.
It certainly worked for McCullough over the last couple of games, so I don't know why he wouldn't stray away from it. And there's a strike on the outside corner.
So with an 0-2 count here, Fair's going to have to be awfully careful. Again, one of the late additions here to the Hyannis roster out of the University of Northeastern. He'll take a ball, and he's been really, really good so far. The two guys that they've added have been just hitting the cover off the ball. Ian Fair hitting 467 and Jordan Westbrook hitting 357. But here he'll swing through that one, a fastball down for strike 3, and it's going to be strikeout number 3 on the day for Connor McCullough.
Now you can make the case that McCullough's been the best pitcher in the entire CCBL over his last couple of appearances. I mean, he had that 8-inning strikeout, the farthest anyone's gone this year, 8 innings, 10 strikeouts, and so far he looks like he's on pace for another solid start against the Hyannis Harborhawks.
Yeah, Harwich starting has been just on a tear lately, as the next pitch is going to be brought in. That will miss low and skip back to the backstop. But yeah, over the last 10 games going into yesterday, the Harwich Mariners pitching staff, the starters, had combined to strike out 52 guys and walk just 15, allowing just 9 runs. This one's going to be in there for a called strike, and that continued yesterday as it was a really good starting outing by Jordan Butler, who gave up just 1 run, but ultimately the runs came via the bullpen. This one will be taken to second base. Fetko takes an awkward hop there off the infield lip and fires on to first for out number 2.
Yeah, that's something that's given Fedco a little bit of trouble a couple of times over at second, is that lip. Ball took a really weird bounce, but it didn't come off as hot as it kind of looked on camera. It didn't exactly jump right to him, so he kind of came in, just stuck his glove out, made a smooth throw to first. So another nice start to the inning for Connor McCullough.
So here comes Mitch McIntyre. McIntyre hitting from the right side and down into the bottom part of the order for Hyannis. This is the part that struggled the most, as once again McCullough delivers strike 1, and once again Hyannis is content to watch it go by.
It just shows how much confidence that McCullough has over the last couple of games. When your stuff's that good, you don't care if it's over the plate or not.
There's something different off speed. That one will miss low and inside to make it a 1-1 count, but McIntyre getting the start out in center today, looking to improve upon his numbers here. As the 1-1 pitch is swung on and missed. McCullough got him completely fooled there, and it'll be a 1-2 count here on Mitch McIntyre.
And the thing is with McIntyre, he's one of the few guys that up and down this Harborhawks lineup that hits the ball to all fields. I mean, pretty much, he hits, I would say, 70% of his balls in place to straightaway center field.
1-2 swing and a miss. Strike 3 on the changeup, and it's going to be another K for Connor McCullough. We'll head here to the home half of the second. Harwich still leading at 1-0 when we come back here on the Mariners Radio Network. Welcome back to White House Field. Tyler Henry, Colin Casey, and Colin, it was a 6:30 start time today, and that can only mean one thing. It means there are a lot of games going on around the Cape already, a couple that are almost ready to go final, but the one score that should reassure everybody, the Brewster Whitecaps are trailing the Chatham Anglers by a score of 6-1. So that's obviously the biggest one for Harwich, and then YD tied up with Bourne 3-3, Wareham tied up with Falmouth 0-0, and Katuda and Orleans starting at 7.
And of course, the big thing with Brewster is not only do the Mariners move in front of them with a win today and a Brewster Whitecaps lost, then they go and play them tomorrow afternoon at Brewster, so they could even put some more space between them, make it maybe a three-point swing essentially at that point, and all of a sudden the Mariners' chances at the playoffs look a lot better than they did a couple of days ago.
But it all starts with taking care of the Harborhawks here, as so far the Mariners do lead at 1-0, and it'll be 6, 7, 8 coming up. Chris Lanzilli will dig in for the first time, and he will foul the first pitch he sees from Tyler Madison off to start the at-bat down 0-1. Lanzilli out of Wake Forest. him and several others, and one of the top bats here over the last 5 or 6 days for Harwich as the 0-1 pitch is going to miss low for ball 1.
Yeah, he's got, I believe, 5 hits over his last 7 games, which is pretty solid compared to what we had seen from him earlier in the season. He really struggled, but slowly but surely he's found his footing.
Here comes the 1-1. He'll swing through that, and it's also helped out Nico Cavadas not having to play as many days over at first base, as he can take the trip over to third and have Lanzilli come in and play first base.
And we saw Lanzilli a lot in the outfield, but now they don't really need him in the outfield because of the surplus that we've seen in the month of July.
Here comes the 1-2 pitch, and that one's going to be fouled off. Yeah, it seems like outfielders have been pouring in left and right as Harwich added Daniel Cabrera, Max Marshak. They added a traditional outfielder in Dylan Noisy, who's playing shortstop today, and then they also added and then had to release Jacob Hurtubise. You also have Joey Weimer and Chris Gallen. So with a 1-2 count, here is Lanzilli, and here comes his pitch as he will swing through an off-speed, low and inside for the second strikeout of the day here for Tyler Madison.
Yeah, back-to-back strikeouts now for Madison, who got off to a rocky start by giving up hits to the first 2 batters he faced, but since then, 4 straight retired. Maybe he's settled down a little bit, and if he can get some offense, maybe get some revenge on the Mariners compared to last time where they kind of roughed him up a little bit.
So here is Pat Winkle, still waiting to break out of. At this point, it's turned from a slow start to the season to just a slow season for Winkle. He seems like he's shown flashes of greatness this year, but for the most part, as an overall product, he's really struggled with the bat in his hand, hitting just 160 this year through 50 at-bats. He's scored 8 runs, 1 extra base hit, and he's driven in 7 as well. That may be the one thing he's done the best this year is drive in runs, as he's hit well in the clutch situations. His 7 RBIs are 4th on the team, or actually 5th on the team.
Yeah, and I think some of that has to do with youth and inexperience. You know, he'll get more opportunities. Only a sophomore and the youngest guy on this roster for the Mariners, so give him some time, and I think he'll eventually kind of figure his way out as that pitch misses low. He'll definitely get some more chances over the next few summers for sure.
Well, and you've also got to think the level of talent that he's seeing here in these games is even higher than what he saw at UConn during his freshman year, where he put together a really impressive campaign, hitting .318. 1-2 comes in. Winkle will check his swing. Nothing doing there, and they'll appeal down to third base. Let's really quickly set the umpires for you. It's Tim Carey behind home plate, Mark Chamberlain over there at third, and Alan Liberdoni at first base. Madison working out of the windup here. Here comes the 2-2 pitch. And that one's going to be swung on and lifted foul down the third baseline. So the count stays 2-2 here on Pat Winkle.
And Winkle had one of the key at-bats in yesterday's game. He had lined out to first with a couple of runners on it. Probably would have played an insurance run at the time, but it was a nice leaping catch over at first by Tate Samuelson. And that might have been one of the biggest plays of the game because you forget about it, because 3-run home run at that point maybe just tied it instead of giving YD the lead.
Yeah, for the Harwich Mariners, they would be content to take a tie at this point, as Winkle will send one up the middle, coming across and firing back across his body in time is Anthony Servideo. What a play there to come towards second base and backhand that one to throw Pat Winkle out at first.
Yeah, Servideo, we saw a lot of him at the top of the order in the first couple of games against the Harwich Mariners, but with more reinforcements coming in, he's found himself in the 9-hole, but that hasn't changed how well defensively he's looked in the field. It seems like every game we see Servideo, he's been ranging to his left or right and robbing hitters of base hits.
So here comes Dylan Noisy. Noisy hitting in the 8-hole today for the Harwich Mariners. First pitch he sees, he squares to bunt and pulls back to take ball 1. And going back-to-back Texas Tech guys here in the bottom of the order with Noisy and Marshak, 2 of the fastest guys on the team as well, hitting in the 8 and 9 holes. Madison from the windup. Here comes the 1-0 pitch. That's going to be swung on and taken out into right. It might get down. It won't, as that one stayed up for Hunter Goodman out in right, and he'll make the catch for out number 3. The inning is over. We go to the third, but still a 1-0 lead for Harwich here on the Harwich Mariners YouTube network. back to White House Field. Tyler Henry alongside Colin Casey as we go here to the home half, or actually to the third inning. Another goose egg put up on the board by Hyannis, so they'll come up and look to change that. It'll be 8-9-1 due up here for the Harbor Hawks as Adam Hackenberg, Anthony Servideo, and Jordan Westberg will be due up for a Hyannis lineup, looking to come back in this one, and they trail at 1-0.
Yeah, and obviously they've kind of gone, even when they've had good offensive performances, Hyannis hasn't really made a difference because their pitching has struggled so much. But, you know, Madison's recovered nicely after a rough start, 6 straight retired. Let's see if the bats can kind of bail them out, give Hyannis their 7th victory of the year.
Hackenberg comes in, and he'll watch the first pitch in there for a strike. Yeah, only 6 victories for this team, 6-22-1 on the year. And let's take a look at those teams that the Hyannis Harbor Hawks were able to defeat. They got a doubleheader win in both games against the Bourne Braves. This one will miss low for McCullough. They got the victory in the doubleheader against Harwich. So 3 of their 6 wins came in doubleheader games that only went 7 innings. And then their 9-inning wins came against the Orleans Firebirds, the Bourne Braves. This one's hit out into left field. Coming in is Gallen. He'll make the catch for out number 1. And then also the Falmouth Commodores.
And that, real quick on that play, it was looking a little scary for a second as Dylan Noisy went back looking kind of blindly at the ball trying to get it, but smart play by Chris Gallen to call him off. The inner outfielder instinct kicked in for Dylan Noisy, but Gallen, the smart play, coming in to make the catch, a much easier play, and that's 7 in a row now retired by Connor McCullough.
Perfect field conditions here at White House Field as Anthony Servideo stands in, takes the first pitch outside for a ball. It's 75 degrees and plenty of cloud cover here, so the sun not playing too much in at 6:30 here at Harwich. The 1-0 pitch, that's going to be a checked swing. Doesn't matter, it was in the zone. The count is 1-1 here.
It's looking really similar to the start that McCullough had against Chatham, in which he gave up a leadoff single to be in the ball game and settled down quite a bit since then.
The 1-1 will miss low, and the count here is 2-1. That's Anthony Servideo looking to get the second hit of the Hyannis day as this pitch will miss low to make it a 3-1 count. Jordan Westberg led things off with a strike, or with a single, but since then, Connor McCullough has retired 7 straight batters, including 4 strikeouts. Swing and a miss there to make it a full count here. Anthony Servideo, who really did have a monster game against Harwich during that doubleheader earlier this year en route to a Harbor Hawk victory. Had a double, a single, a stolen base, and a couple of RBIs, but here he swings through that for strike 3, and he is going to be the 5th strikeout victim of the day to fall here to Connor McCullough.
Yep, looking like another efficient game out of McCullough. Working very quickly and working very efficiently. We saw him throw 88 pitches over 8 innings, and right now he's on pace probably to reach that mark once again.
It's one of the things you can do when you take an entire season off, is, again, due to the transfer to Kansas State, he has been able to get more action. So here he'll face Jordan Westberg, the first and only guy the first time through the order to get a hit off of Connor McCullough. McCullough's 0-1 pitch, and that one's going to be raked into left field and fair, so it's going to be back-to-back hits here and back-to-back at-bats for Westberg, who's taking off for second. The throw is going to be close, but unable to apply the tag is Fedko, as he caught that ball kind of low and didn't have a chance to rotate. So it's a hustle double here for Jordan Westberg, and he's got the only 2 hits of the day for Hyannis.
Yeah, he's the only guy who's seen the ball pretty well against Connor McCullough so far, and should probably keep that baseball. Not many guys are able to get multiple hits off of McCullough in the same game.
So Connor McCullough will go here out of the stretch as Rigsby Mosley comes up. He struck out looking his first time. And he'll stand in now. McCullough checks the runner back to second, brings the first pitch home. That's going to be just low for ball 1. Fastball really looking good for McCullough today, and the off speed has been immaculate as, again, that new pitch that he's working with, thinking it's a changeup. We'll get confirmation on that after the game today, but whatever it is, it's been awfully effective. Here comes the 1-0 fastball. That's going to be popped a mile high in the air. It'll stay on the infield as Dylan Noisy comes in, and the outfielder will squeeze it for out number 3. So once again, Westberg finds his way on, but to no avail. The Harbor Hawks can't score any runs, and it'll be a 1-0 Harwich lead. They'll look to pat onto it when we come back on the other side of the break here on the Harwich Mariners YouTube network. back to White House Field. Tyler Henry, Colin Casey as we go on to the home half of the third inning. And for the Harwich Mariners, it'll be Max Marshak, Daniel Cabrera, and Chris Gallen due up. It was a dream start for the Mariners. Cabrera was able to get on, steal second, reach third on a fastball, and come in to score on a Chris Gallen RBI single. But after that, the bats have gone quiet, and Tyler Madison has retired 6 straight.
Yeah, he's certainly done a nice job after, as you mentioned, a rough start, but was facing 2 of the best hitters as of late in Harwich, and now he's got an opportunity to get some redemption. He'll face Max Marshak first, but then Cabrera and Gallant after that, so see if Madison might approach those top 2 guys differently.
So here is Max Marshak getting his first at bat of the day, and we're going to talk about a guy that's been feast or famine for. Marshak's had a couple of monster games, but aside from that, he's had a lot of quiet games. We'll see whether or not this is one of those days for Max Marshak. He was able to reach base against Bourne and come around to score the only run, and that's kind of his thing too, is the amount of speed that he has when he gets on base and what he can do with it. And he may do that here as he takes one towards second. It's going to be an awkward throw, but able to get back onto first base is Ian Fair, and that's going to be out number 1.
You talk about monster games. Speaking of one, here's a guy who's been probably the hottest hitter in the Cape over the last 2 days, and that is Jack Thomas Wald. He homers yet again to extend the YD Red Sox lead, a 2-run shot. They lead now at 9-3 in the bottom of the 7th.
Yeah, going from being a pinch hitter yesterday to being in the lineup today, and boy, he has proven his worth once again to a Red Sox team that still sits just 2 points behind Chatham in the Eastern standings. So here comes Daniel Cabrera for a second time today. He singled and scored the lone run of the game, and he'll watch the first pitch bounce by his foot for ball 1.
And that one off a closer, no less, Tyler Brocious. So,
wow.
Doesn't really matter who you throw out there. Jack Thomas Wald just seeing the ball really, really well for the YD Red Sox.
Although I will say Tyler Brocious has been getting hit a lot more ever since Harwich was able to score 2 runs against him. He looked virtually unhittable through the first half of the season, but guys starting to figure out that submarine arm angle and finding ways to hit the sinker.
Yeah, and also changed things up for Bourne as they started going to a new arm to pick up saves.
Swing and a miss there to make it a 2-1 count here on Daniel Cabrera.
Yeah, I'm blanking on exactly who it was picked up. Oh, it was Kieran Shaw is kind of the new guy that they have relied on, as he's got 2 saves on the year. We'll see if he will be their closer going forward.
2-1's going to be chopped to first. It'll be picked up by Fair, and he will step on first for out number 2. So here comes Chris Galland, who did drive in the only run of the game. It was an RBI single for him back in the first inning.
From Boston College, Chris Galland.
He will get his chance now to try to start something for the Mariners with 2 outs. And again, we keep saying it, they've been just so exceptionally good this year with 2 outs. Here comes the first pitch, and that's going to come in and hit him in the back of the heel. So Gallen's going to jog down to first. Doesn't look any worse for wear, but they're going to put the speedster on here for Nico Cavadas with 2 away.
Yep, that'll raise the on-base percentage as Gallen reaches base for the second time in this one. And as you mentioned, a lot of speed there with Nico Cavadas with Nico Cavadas in the batter's box. So Cavadas can find a gap. I don't see any reason why Gallen won't be able to score from first base.
He's taking a pretty good lead over there at first base, and we already saw how nervous Tyler Madison was pitching to Cavadas with him on base, and here it is again as he'll throw over to first to try to keep Gallen close. So with 2 away here, Nico Cavadas, who is 0 for 1 today, he flew out to center, will stand in. Pretty good lead over at first. Here goes Galland, and that's going to be into second. Over slides the bag, and boy, very animated out there is Westberg. He applied the tag, and I think what he's appealing is that he got the tag on and kept it on him for as long as it took Galland to fall off of second, but the separation was clearly there before Galland overslid the bag.
Gallen now with 10 steals in the season with 2 this evening so far, puts himself in scoring position for the team leader in RBIs.
And Harwich is kind of running free here today, as that's their 3rd stolen base here in as many innings. The 1-0-2 Cavadas, he will swing on that and chop it foul. It's picked up by Coach Coppins over there, coaching first base.
Yeah, Cavadas didn't miss one by too much in his first at-bat. Hit went out to straightaway center field, but got under it just a little bit.
He'll look to straighten it out and maybe take care of the task here. Golden opportunity for him to pick up his 23rd RBI of the year. He leads the team by more than 10. Here comes the 1-1 pitch. It's an off speed, and that one's going to just drop into the zone right around the letters for strike 2.
Yeah, and I see two similar offenses in which they kind of operate around their best hitters. The Harbor Hawks, when Goodman's on, they kind of work well as a team, and when Cavadas is hitting well for the Mariners, it's when they're winning most of their games.
See whether he can carry Harwich to another victory here, is checking him off the mound and looking the runner back to second there is Tyler Madison. Nico Cavadas has just one short of half of Harwich's RBIs over the last 10 days. And a lot of that is thanks to Joey Weimer with a 4 RBI performance yesterday. Madison comes set from the belt. Here comes the 1-2 pitch. Gallen's going, and this one will be fouled off as Cavadas gets a little bit in front of that one.
Yeah, and Madison's very lucky. He left that ball right over the plate, but since it was an off speed, it looked like Cavadas might have been sitting fastball, kind of out in front of it, so he's only able to get a piece of it.
So with 1-2 count, Cavadas will dig back in once again here. Madison certainly glad he gets that pitch back and that it wasn't taken well over the fence. From the belt, Madison's going to have to check the runner back to second here. Gallen will take a big secondary, and that one's going to just miss high and away here to even the count at 2-2.
And it's crazy that Gallen's taking off, even though I'm sure it's immediately in the front of his mind that for the catcher Hackenberg that he's going to be running, but Gallen simply doesn't care. He'll take as big of a lead as he wants, and he's ready to run once again.
So Cavadas ready for the 2-2 pitch. Here it comes. That's going to be skipped in the dirt, and it's going to be a full count here to Nico Cavadas. Christian Fedko, who just barely got out back in the first inning, a line shot to left, will be standing on deck. Harwich up 1-0 here in the home half of the third, looking for another opportunity here to score on a day where the Brewster Whitecaps continue to leave the door open. They now are down 7-1 to the Chatham Anglers. That game, I believe, in the 8th inning. Here it's a full count to Cavadas, runner in scoring position, 2 away. Tyler Madison kicks and fires, and Cavadas will hit this one just foul down the first base line. And interestingly enough there, I don't know that Chris Gallen was 100% aware of the situation, as he didn't take off immediately. He kind of took a weird secondary lead and then remembered and took off. So he'll get a running start here.
Yeah, I'm sure some of it as well is that there's no runner on first base, so it not being a force out, if it's ball 4, can easily throw down to third and maybe get him out. But again, even with this speed, it wouldn't be the most surprising thing if you were to take off.
So once again, it'll be a payoff pitch. Here it comes to Cavadas, and he will watch it go high for ball 4. So 2 on with 2 out here for Christian Fedko. We'll see whether he can produce another Harwich run here.
Fedko with hits in each of his last 2 games, raising his on-base percentage up to .390, so he's looking to get back to that 400 mark. He had dipped just below it a couple of days ago after that bit of a cold stretch. But now a great opportunity to give his team an even bigger advantage.
Of course, Joey Weimer standing on deck, so an even more dangerous hitter if it comes down to it. But for the time being, Christian Fedko will stand in. Runners on first and second here in the 3rd inning. Harwich currently holding a 1-0 lead over the Hyannis Harbor Hawks. And here comes the first pitch. That'll miss well outside for ball 1 from Tyler Madison.
Fedko trails only Nico Cavadas in extra base hits with 7. Difference, of course, with Cavadas. He's got 7 home runs.
Yep, so far this season, it seems like most of the damage for Christian Fedko has been done via the double, as he leads the team with 5 of them. Stepping off the rubber there is Tyler Madison, and they're being awfully cautious with Chris Gallen over there at second base, although they now have a force out at any bag. Christian Fedko on and 2 outs. Weather really starting to cool down here at White House Field. Here on a cool July afternoon. Next pitch will miss outside as well, and the count here has been worked 2-0.
It looks like there's a slight breeze coming from the first base side, so that could maybe potentially blow any flare down the right field line into fair territory.
So with a 2-0 count, Fedko is ready to go. He will watch a breaking ball in there for strike 1, and the count is now 2-1.
Now, this would be a big confidence booster for Tyler Madison if he's able to get out of this inning. It's kind of just been spurts and where he's allowed guys to reach base, and he can find himself out of this one. Maybe he'll go back to that stretch that he had in the second inning.
Fedko ready for the 2-1 pitch. Madison checks the runner back to second. Gallen takes off, and it was going to be a delayed double steal. But it's fouled away by Fedko, and the count stays 2-2.
An interesting call there, as Cavadas got a very, very late jump on that one. You wonder if Hackenberg would have foregone the throw to third and just try to get Cavadas to much slower Nico Cavadas at second, but Fedko able to get a piece of it and drop another 2-2.
Get the feeling he would have at least been looking down to third first, and that hesitation may have allowed Cavadas to move up, but either way with a 2-2 count, Fedko will stand back in and get a defensive swing here. Here comes the pitch, and Fedko will foul that one off his foot. Count stays right where it's at.
Outfield playing at normal depth here, so nothing too crazy despite Fedko being a pretty strong pull hitter.
Fedko taking some time to kind of rub some dirt on that one and shake that off. It feels like more than anybody else, Christian Fedko has kind of taken a beating in the batter's box. He's been beamed twice. One of those hits took him out for a week. He's fouled the ball off his foot more times than I can count. But here he'll stand in for another 2-2 pitch. Madison will step off again and check Chris Gallen back despite nobody holding him on out there on the bag.
Not too surprised he's worried about Gallen, though, the way he's run in this game. Already a couple of steals, and he's been looking for that third one.
Count stays 2-2. Madison stands in. Cavadas on first. Gallen taking off on second. Swing and a miss. Strike three, and that'll do it for the third inning of play. We head to the fourth here on the Harwich Mariners YouTube network. Welcome back to White House Field. Tyler Henry alongside Colin Casey. I want to remind you that today's game is brought to you by Curry College. Earn a bachelor's or a master's degree or complete a certificate, or take a single course through Division of Continuing Education and Graduate Studies at Curry College. Classes run days, evenings, weekends in Milton and Plymouth. To learn more about programs in business, criminal justice, education, nursing, and more, visit curry.edu.
So the heart of the lineup will greet Connor McCullough to begin the fourth inning. Trevor Hauver struck out looking in his first at-bat against McCullough. First pitch he sees misses inside for ball one.
So we'll see what Hauver's got in store here after watching strike three go by. I'll watch another pitch down in the dirt here. McCullough, for the first time all day, seemingly, is not just going after the strike zone.
It's been quite some time since he last walked somebody, not walking anyone in his last start against Chatham, but he falls behind 3-0 to Goodman, or to Hauver, I should say.
And we saw him fall behind 3-0 a couple of times in that last game, but he was able to battle back each time. So, see whether or not he can do it here.
3-0 is over for a strike as the take sign on for Trevor Hauver, and not too surprised, Hauver 21 walks on the season, the most patient hitter in this lineup, but he swings 3-1 at a pitch above the belt. He fouls it straight back.
And not only the most walks in the or in the lineup for Hyannis, but also the second most walks in the league this year.
Patience, one of the biggest parts of Hover's game. Here's a payoff pitch from Connor McCullough. And a swing and a miss, strike three. Got him on the pitch, diving down below the knees. So that is strikeout number 6 so far for McCullough, and one away to begin the fourth.
Well, and what a way to bounce back there after going down 3-0. But he's able to fight back in the count, get Hover in a tough spot, and then strike him out with an excellent pitch. So he will now face Hunter Goodman, who he got to fly out to center his first time up.
Goodman, the team leader in RBIs by a considerable margin with 26. And he watches a breaking ball go outside, as the second most was Hover, and he's just got 11. So some striking similarities between the Harbor Hawks roster and the Mariners roster, as that pitch misses outside 2-0.
Yep, and Hunter Goodman, one of those guys that can play pretty much anywhere you want him. He can play catcher, third base, or outfield. Today he's out and right.
There's a line drive into left field for a base hit, as Chris Gallen will field it on a hop, so it's a one-out single for Hunter Goodman. The Harbor Hawks look to try to even things up in the fourth.
Yep, and finally somebody other than Jordan Westberg is able to find their way on the hit here, as Hunter Goodman becomes just the second guy on the day to do it. So here comes Ian Fair, who, as I mentioned, has been hitting really well so far this season. He's got an average on the year of 467 through 30 at-bats.
Harbor Hawks have equaled the number of hits that Chatham got in 8 innings against McCullough in his last start. First pitch to Fair misses outside.
Yep, with the 1-0 count, we'll see whether McCullough maintains his aggressive nature or whether he kind of continues trying to paint things on the outer corners.
There's a swing and a drive out towards center field, and Max Marshak's over to make the easy catch for out number 2.
That pretty routine play, and that'll bring up Jackson Olsen. So continuing to work pretty quickly here is Connor McCullough. His pitch count hasn't really suffered too much, and he'll get an opportunity to move through another guy here as Jackson Olsen comes up. He's already 0 for 1.
Olsen out of the University of Hartford. Teammates with Nick Demkowski, the left-handed starter out of Bourne. Of course, the alma mater of Astros Hall of Famer Jeff Bagwell. First pitch from McCullough is swung on and missed by Olsen.
And he had the best batting average on the team for the Hartford Hawks back in 2018. Had a pretty good 2019 season there as well.
Goodman with a decent lead off of first, and the 0-1. Skips in the dirt, gets past Pat Winkle, and Goodman will take off for second. He rounds the bag, but will not go any further. So now runner in scoring position with 2 away, as the Hyannis Harbor Hawks try to even things up in the fourth.
Yep, and with a 1-1 count, we'll see whether Olsen can poke his runner over there, although with 2 away, he's going to have to find a way to get on base to do it. Harbor Hawks down to their final out here in the top of the fourth.
Lanzilli playing relatively deep over at first, and Fedko closer to second as the 1-1 misses inside. So if he's able to pull one through that gap, that might be enough to bring home Goodman, pending a decent throw from Weimer, who we know has a pretty good arm out and right. But Weimer, not traditionally a right fielder. He hasn't played there too much this season. The 2-1. That one's over, 2-2.
Yeah, pretty good pitch there by McCullough, just coming low and inside. And he knows if he does get Jackson Olsen to swing on that, he's going to jam him and have him take something over to Cavadas over there at third. So really trying to keep things on the outside and low here.
A look over at Goodman from McCullough. Now the 2-2. And that one's chopped up the right side. Lanzilli fields it. He's going to take it himself, and he just beats Jackson Olsen, who was hustling down the line, and that will end the inning. So it's 4 scoreless for Connor McCullough so far against Hyannis. His Harwich Mariners lead at 1-0. You're watching Harwich Mariners baseball on the Mariners YouTube network.
Bottom of the fourth for the Mariners, the right
Bottom of the
fielder,
fourth
number
from White House
16,
Field. Colin Casey
Joey
alongside
Weimer.
Tyler Henry as the Mariners lead at 1-0. They try to snap a 2-game losing streak while Hyannis trying to end a 3-game losing streak of their own. Joey Weimer will lead things off for the Mariners, followed by Chris Lanzilli and Pat Winkle, the 3 hitless so far in this game, but albeit only through 1 at-bat each. And the first pitch to Weimer is lined up the middle, and just like that, he picks up a single. So Joey Weimer continues to play some good baseball over the last couple of days as he's on with a leadoff single.
Yeah, I really think those couple days that he took off really helped him out. It seems like he's been swinging a better bat here over the past 2 games, and you know, it certainly helped him. Sometimes the guy just needs some time to kind of take a few minutes and try to get his swing right, and he has looked like the prime Joey Weimer that we're all accustomed to seeing here as Chris Lanzilli will step in.
Weimer with 6 steals on the season, so definitely a threat to run over at first. Lanzilli struck out swinging to begin the second, and the first pitch is going to have to wait as Madison throws over to first. Mariners have been very aggressive against Adam Hackenberg all season long. Madison comes set, and he's going to throw over yet again.
And so far, this is the lowest scoring game we've seen between these 2 teams all season long, as the 2 doubleheader games were both 7-2 affairs, and then of course a 6-0 Harwich victory here at White House Field during the first meeting between these 2. Here is the home game for Harwich.
Now the first pitch, and that's lined up the middle, and it's a base hit. Weimer will take the turn, and he's going to hold up at second, so a couple of hard-hit balls to center field, and the Mariners are in business to kick off the home half of the fourth.
Yep, back-to-back singles, and that'll bring up Pat Winkle here, who again is looking to break a cold snap, but this would be a good time to do it. We've talked about it too. It seems like he's been put in a lot of situations to get RBIs, so that continues here with the runner in scoring position.
Still nobody out as Madison giving up the first 2 hits that he has surrendered since the first inning. Been relatively clean over the second and the third, but now he finds himself in a bit of trouble. Winkle, lefty out of UConn. And the first pitch to Winkle is just off the outside corner, ball 1. Infield at double play depth with the shortstop Westberg moderately holding on, Weimer at second. Madison looks over, now he comes home. It's a ground ball to the right side, and lunging at it is fair, but it is foul, ironically. Count now 1-1.
So that one will drop on the good side of the line for the Harwich Mariners, and we'll see whether they can take advantage here. Winkle, of course, just a day ago against the YD Red Sox came up in some pretty big spots, but came up over 4 on the day.
Winkle 6'2", 205 pounds. Played a little bit of third base as well at UConn, so not just a catcher. And he lines this ball down the right field line. It's a fair ball. Weimer rounding third, and he's going to come in as the runner Lanzilli moves up to third. So it's an RBI single for Pat Winkle, and the Mariners lead it 2-0.
And another RBI here for Winkle. We talked about it. It seems like he's been put in a lot of situations like this year, and once again, he finds a way to come through here for Harwich when it matters. The average will go up a little bit as well.
So that is now 6 RBIs over the last 10, 11 games for Pat Winkle. He's been driving in runs in small increments, but he finds himself at first with Chris Lanzilli at third and Dylan Noisy at the plate looking to pad the lead further with nobody out. He shows bunt, and he fouls it straight back.
Seems like Noisy and Marshak both have been trying to lay down a lot of bunts, and neither one of them has really gotten a good pitch to lay down. So we'll see whether or not they can find something here, or whether Noisy will pull back and swing the bat again here with an 0-1 count.
Noisy hit a ball pretty hard in his last at-bat, but right at the right fielder Hunter Goodman. Looking to have better luck this time. Madison will throw over to first on Winkle, who's back with a dive.
Plenty of speed with Chris Lanzilli over there on third base, and we've seen how aggressive Harwich has been this season, so you get the feeling a ground ball, even with the infield in, they might try to bring him home.
Noisy hitless in his last 2 starts, looking to change things in an RBI chance, and he swings and hits a high pop-up towards the left side. Heading back is Olsen. He's going to duck out of the way, and a nice play by Westberg as he kind of had to run diagonally and then back at the last second. He makes the catch. Lanzilli holds up at third, so it's an unproductive first out for Dylan Noisy.
Yeah, but here comes Max Marshak, and see whether or not he can get something down here. Harwich may or may not be trying to bunt. Once again, we've seen Marshak, it seems like on the first pitch of most at-bats he's gotten over the last 4 or 5 games, try to lay down a bunt. So we'll see whether or not he does that again here, or whether he's going to keep the bat back and try to pull the trigger.
So here's Marshak, who was 1 for 4 against Bourne the last time he started with a run scored. And another throw over on Pat Winkle. Marshak also picking up a steal, so another guy that can run in this Mariners lineup. Even a ground ball might not end the inning with his speed. Madison comes set. First pitch is breaking ball over for a strike.
That would have been good if Marshak could have gotten around on it. That thing was hanging up, and boy, that's the pitch you want to drive, but nothing doing there, and it'll be an 0-1 count here. Marshak will have to stand back in and try to focus up on the next pitch.
So Landon Kelly warming up in the bullpen, the righty, out of Memphis, so could be close to the end for Madison, who's gone 3 1/3 so far. The 0-1 is fouled right off the mask of Hackenberg. But Madison, farthest he's gone is 5 innings twice. Got no decisions in both. Of course, his only decision this year was a loss to Harwich back on June 28th.
Yeah, and it seems like there are probably a lot of guys on this roster that have kind of shared the same fate, as no matter how well or badly they've pitched, Harwich, or not Harwich, but Hyannis just struggling to come up with victories this season. And as a matter of fact, only 2 guys on the roster right now have wins. It's Jonas Scalaro and Patrick Fredrickson.
No balls, 2 strikes to Marshak, runners to the corners. The pitch, and it's a fastball missing inside, almost got a piece of Max.
Of course, if Marshak can find his way on here, that would bring up Daniel Cabrera, potentially with the bases loaded, and that would be a good situation for Harwich to find themselves in.
Yeah, each of the top 3 guys in the lineup have reached base at least once, Galland reaching base twice. The 1-2. Breaking ball swung on a missed strike 3, and there's a big pitch from Tyler Madison as he had Marshak way out in front, and all of a sudden, runners to the corners, but now 2 down here in the 4th.
Yeah, Harwich has already stranded 2 runners in scoring position so far today, and they're hoping to avoid doing that for a 3rd time today, as here comes Daniel Cabrera. He's already got a single, a stolen base, and a run scored back in the 1st inning. He grounded out to the first baseman back in the 3rd, and here comes Ray Korn to have a word with his guy.
And we'll see if it's just a word or maybe could be it for Madison. It is a tough batter he's facing in Daniel Cabrera, and a guy who has had some serious success against Hyannis this season, including a ball he hit in the first game of the doubleheader at Hyannis that cleared the scoreboard. It was a mammoth solo home run, part of the 4 RBIs he had in that game, just his 2nd as a Harwich Mariner. And it is going to be Madison that he'll face, so Cabrera with an opportunity to maybe bring home Chris Lanzilli and pad the lead further.
Well, and you got to think as well, I mean, this is a guy who's gotten the last 2 guys out, one via strikeout. So yeah, he's facing the 3rd time through the order here against Daniel Cabrera, and maybe this was just about how to approach him, but Harwich will try to attack him here once again. And for the time being, it'll be Cabrera squaring off against Madison.
Cabrera has gotten a hit in 9 of his last 10 games, so one of the more consistent bats in this Mariners lineup, and Coach Engler moving him up to the leadoff spot. First pitch will just miss below the knees.
So with runners at the corners, another golden opportunity for Daniel Cabrera to try to climb back atop the leaderboard here for the Harwich Mariners, or at least the leaderboard of anybody not named Nico Cavadas, as his 22 RBIs is far and away the best on the team.
1-0 is over for a strike.
Joey Weimer, of course, picking up a 3rd of his 12 RBIs yesterday, and then after that you get 9 out of Cabrera, who stands in 3rd, 8 out of Christian Fedko, and 8 now out of Pat Winkle.
Winkle, the runner at first, Lanzilli at 3rd. 1-1 skipped in, but a nice stop by Hackenberg to prevent Lanzilli from coming in from 3rd.
So a run is going to be walked in out there in Chatham, as the Anglers are now up 7-1 on the Brewster Whitecaps, not doing themselves any favor are the Brewster pitchers today?
Brewster has had plenty of opportunities to put some distance between them and the Mariners, but that could be done after tonight as 2-1 misses outside, so a hitter's count for Cabrera with Chris Gallen looming in the on-deck circle.
It's going to be a big green light here for Cabrera. We've seen him drive a couple of these pitches, and if you got to think, if you're Tyler Madison, the one thing you can't afford to do right now is give him something good to hit.
3 balls, 1 strike. Pitch in, swing and a miss, so a full count now. That'll give Winkle a head start at first, so Cabrera can get one in the gap. Might be able to plate 2.
Yeah, with 2 away, could give a head start as well, too. Chris Lanzilli over there at third.
Madison comes set, the payoff pitch. Hit on the ground towards third. Olsen comes up with it. The throw is in time. And how about Tyler Madison with damage control? As the Mariners are able to get a run, but despite having runners at the corners, nobody out, they can't do any more damage. We're through 4 from White House Field. Harwich leads 2-0. You're listening to the Mariners Radio Network.
Emily and May are making their way.
And welcome back once again to White House Field. We head to the top of the 5th. The Mariners enjoy a 2-0 lead over the Hyannis Harbor Hawks, and I am now joined by Alex Weiner, our beat writer, photographer, social media guy. He pretty much does everything, and if you haven't gotten a chance to read any of his game recaps, I urge you to go ahead and take a look at those. But
Or features. Features work too.
features as well. Yep, he wrote a really good one on Jeff Neiman, the pitching coach for
Thank
the
you.
Harwich Mariners a couple of weeks back, but joins us now as a broadcaster. So with the bottom of the order due up for the Hyannis Harbor Hawks, Alex, it's been a pretty strong start once again from Connor McCullough.
Well, yeah, I mean, coming off of one of the best starts the Cape League has seen all season. I mean, he's just right back where he left off from.
First pitch to Mitch McIntyre misses outside as he went 8 innings with 10 strikeouts. And
Against a very good hitting Chatham team
Yep.
as well, and a team that was pretty red hot at the moment.
1-0 misses low, and you can kind of see that the way they've been beating up on Brewster tonight. 7-1 the score in that one, but yeah, he's done it against pretty much any lineup he's faced this season. He was first used out of the bullpen primarily,
Yeah.
and now he's really found himself a role in this rotation.
Yeah, I was sort of finding him groove because, I mean, I'm sure you guys have hammered home the fact that he did not pitch last spring for Kansas
Right.
State due to the transfer from Arkansas. So now, you know, he's coming in fresh, and the coaches love to have him, but you do have to kind of work him back into it, and you kind of have to get over those nerves of facing live hitters once again.
Following the mound meeting, the 2-0 misses upstairs, so McCullough in danger of surrendering his first walk since he'll have to go back to his last start against Chatham, not the one where he went 8 innings, so it's been a while. But he's able to delay it further as the 3-0 is over for a strike to McIntyre.
Yeah, his accuracy has been absolutely commendable so far for this season. As you mentioned, he has not walked a guy in a while. Last game, 8 innings, no walks at all. Unfortunately for that, I guess your guys' curse has been, you've been riding that curse for the entire season now,
Yeah,
huh?
yeah, of course that one a little bit different considering it was a 3-1 count, but McIntyre does draw the walk. And so the leadoff man is on for the Hyannis Harbor Hawks with tying run coming to the plate in Adam Hackenberg, who's 0 for 1 with a flyout. Hackenberg out of Clemson. His brother, of course, Christian, a former New York Jets quarterback out of Penn State, as the first pitch misses inside.
Yeah, Christian was also in the AAF, I believe, before that league.
That's right.
Disappointed, to say the least. But he was signed as a starting quarterback for them too.
1-0, and that one is over for a strike. And he definitely, during his time with the Nittany Lions, kind of pumped some life into that Penn State organization after, the rough last 5 years it had off the field. And
yeah, set the stage, and then Trace McSorley and Saquon Barkley took it to another level.
1-1 to Hackenberg, misses outside, 2-1.
Hackenberg, not a guy who gets on base totally often. I mean, his on base percentage for the season entering tonight was .283. That's not something you'd love to see. His batting average is fairly low, so it's not surprising. But this is a guy who's big, strong, and they want a little bit more pop out of.
Runner goes, and there's a swing out towards center field, a dive, and it gets past Marshak. Rounding second is McIntyre. He'll head to third. They're going to hold him there, so it's going to be a double for Adam Hackenberg. But boy, Max Marshak almost made a diving catch. It looked like he had trouble reading it off the bat, and that second or two kind of cost him dearly.
Yeah, just, hung out for like a split second where that first step was not forward. Of course, you never want your first step to be forward if you not entirely sure where the ball is, but once he saw it, he went full out and sort of made the huge risk of going forward, diving. If you miss it, that's going to be an extra base hit, and that's exactly what we saw there. What could have been probably first and second, maybe first and third with nobody out. Now we have two runners in scoring position and the go-ahead run at the plate.
So McCullough will have to work from the windup with two runners in scoring position, and first pitch to Anthony Servideo is on the inside corner for a strike.
In this case, you just got to go right at him. Hopefully, try to strike him out or getting to pop up.
0-1 to Servideo, misses inside. Anthony Servideo, a guy who was towards the top of the lineup the last time these two teams played, and he did a pretty good job at the plate, setting the table. Unfortunately, some of his teammates weren't able to bring him home in most situations, as the 1-1 misses low and inside.
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely done his fair share of getting on base at a 326 clip, so he is a guy who knows how to be patient and work the walk here. And at 2-1, we're seeing it.
2-1 to the sophomore out of Ole Miss, misses low, and Cullen in danger of putting another guy on via free pass and loading the bases for the top of the order.
Yeah, and you start to wonder if fatigue really kind of sets in to where he's pitched 8 innings his last outing. He had not gone that long really since high school, so who knows.
And that 3-1 will miss low and in once again. It's ball 4. And first 3 guys reaching base to begin the 5th for Hyannis, and that will load the bases for Jordan Westberg, who is already 2 for 2 in this one. Yeah,
and there's some movement in the Harwich bullpen, as I believe it's Tommy Vale who's starting to get up and loose. We haven't seen him in a few games, but he had a pretty solid start to the season. He impressed in his first outing at Bourne, and since then he's been a pretty reliable source in the bullpen. He has a 4 ERA through 9 innings of work, so he's certainly a guy who we're not afraid to go to in late inning situations. And now assistant coach Steve Gruenberg is going to go to the mound, and we'll see whether or not this is a visit or he's going to yank him.
Like Madison, last inning, Connor McCullough finds himself in quite the jam. But Madison was able to get out of it with limited damage and was able to keep his team in striking distance. So big props to the righty out of Bryant in that situation. But now McCullough will be tasked with the same scenario.
Yep.
And
a lot, it's probably the hugest pressure situation for McCullough the entire season. He probably doesn't know it, but Brewster's down by a lot. This is a massive opportunity to jump back up into that playoff picture. Bases loaded, nobody out, only a 2-run game. This is not something he's faced since coming back into kind of pitching regularly since he was in Arkansas a couple years ago. So, this is a tough task, but they're going to leave him in there. And, the way he's pitched this season, there's no one else they'd probably rather have in there at the moment.
And we know how much Hyannis has struggled this season, 6-22-1 overall, but against the East and on the road, they've especially been bad, with a 2-11-1 record on the road and a 2-13 record against the East. One of those wins, of course, coming against Harwich back in that doubleheader earlier in the year. So the base is loaded. Here's Westberg, and the first pitch will miss outside for ball 1. Westberg singled in the first, doubled in the third.
Got the hot hand, and McCullough cannot play with him here. Can't pitch around him. He's got to just go after him. Doesn't matter what he's done earlier today.
1-0 is hit hard on the ground to short. Flip to Fedko for 1. On to first to Lanzilli. He's safe. So it's going to be a fielder's choice and a run driven in, as coming home to score is Mitch McIntyre, and the lead is cut in half. And now the tying run stands on third with just 1 away.
Yeah, just a slowly developed double play there. Noisy, I feel like, could have charged it a little bit more, given himself a little bit more time, and even when he got it, it was a little lackadaisical to Christian Fetko. Noisy's not your typical shortstop. He played outfield for the entire season at Texas Tech. This is, a fairly new position for him on this level. I was talking to him, he said he hadn't really played shortstop regularly since high school, so maybe that's kind of carrying over here.
First pitch to Rigsby Mosley misses low. The designated hitter out of Troy is 0 for 2, but just a fly ball is needed here to tie things up. McCullough comes set, and the pitch is laced into left field. That's going to drop for a base hit. Hackenberg will come in to score, and all of a sudden, a big inning for the Hyannis Harborhawks have tied things up at 2 in the top of the 5th.
Yep, and it's really highlighting sort of the missed opportunity of the bottom of the 4th, where they had a runner on third base, runners on the corners, and were unable to get them home even with less than 2 outs. We saw that yesterday. They left a few runners on base. They thought they had a big enough lead, but that turned out not to be the case. And then today, leaving runners on base again, it's really coming back to bite them.
It's the 7th RBI on the season for Mosley, his first since July 10th. And we're going to get another mound visit, and that's going to be the end of the line for Connor McCullough. So we'll have a pitching change to report. The other side of this break, you're watching Harwich Mariners baseball on the Mariners YouTube network.
Now on the mound for the Mariners from the University of Notre Dame, number 11.
Back at White House Field, a new pitcher to tell you about. It'll be the lefty out of Notre Dame, Tommy Vale, who comes in to relieve Connor McCullough, who had a strong outing going through 4 innings. 5th has been a completely different story, as he has surrendered 2 runs so far on 6 hits, but he's responsible for the 2 runners on first and second. And Alex, definitely not the ending that Connor McCullough was hoping for after a very good start.
Yeah, no, I think fatigue just set in. He was pulling off his glove side a little bit more, which caused his fastball to sort of tail off, and was missing his mark quite a bit. Walking the first couple batters is certainly not going to help your case in any way, shape, or form. So, pitched a lot of innings recently, 8 innings last week, threw 4 really good ones today, and I think those just kind of came back to haunt him after a while. It kind of taxed his arm a bit.
So in comes Tommy Vale, who is 0-1 with a 4 ERA on the season. He has gone 3 consecutive outings without having a scoreless one, as you have to go back to June 20th where he pitched a scoreless inning, but relatively solid numbers during that stretch, just giving up 1, 2, and 1 earned runs respectively throughout those 3. So he'll be greeted by Trevor Hauver. First pitch to him misses inside.
Yeah, we haven't seen Vale in a few games here, so perhaps maybe that time off gave him a little bit of time to recuperate and get his best stuff right, because his best outing was his first outing, so perhaps with the rest he was able to kind of mimic that again.
1-0 is over for a strike, and that last outing, July 10th at Orleans, was a tough one. I mean, he didn't pitch phenomenal, walking 3 guys over 3 innings, giving up the 1 hit and 1 run, but just didn't really get much offensive support either, so not too bad out of the bullpen. Let's see if he can get himself out of this 2-on, 1-away jam. The 1-1 is in the dirt. A nice stop by Pat Winkle.
Yeah, all you really need is a ground ball here. I mean, you have Hauver, who's quick but not, the fastest guy in the league, and runners on first and second here with 1 down. one pitch can ultimately get them out of this.
Vale, a Seattle, Washington native at Notre Dame. Look over at second now, the 2-1, and that's hit high in the air out towards center field. Marshak waiting under it. He will make the catch for out number 2, no tag at second from Westberg.
If you weren't going to get the ground ball, it's probably the next, either that or a strikeout are the next best things. Pop up, not deep enough to get the runner from second to move over 90 feet.
The right fielder.
And now you have 2 outs to work with and a base open, so kind of with Goodman coming up, one of their better hitters, at least you can kind of dance around the zone a little bit, try to get him to chase, be a little bit more flexible with what you can do here.
Goodman, of course, the league leader in runs batted in. He's got himself an RBI spot here. A base hit should almost certainly score Jordan Westberg. Vale comes set, and the first pitch is fastball. He blows it by Goodman, very late on it, 0-1.
A little late movement on that one, kind of dipped out of the zone a little bit under the knees, and so just good placement on the fastball, perfect first pitch to get yourself the upper hand here.
Vale looks in. Another glance at second, the pitch. It's a breaking ball, gets away from Winkle. It is a swing for Goodman, but both runners move up to second and third. And now, with an 0-2 count, we'll see if Goodman can come through and give the Harbor Hawks the lead.
It's an interesting trade-off there. Kind of a pitch well out of the zone, but a lot of late movement on it. Goodman falls for it. But for Winkle, he kind of fell for it too, wasn't able to get his body in front. It's a very difficult pitch to block. And so now second and third, you got a little bit more pressure on you, but 0-2 count here, you're in the driver's seat.
Goodman with 4 RBIs in his last 4 games coming into today. Vale's 0-2. On the corner, strike 3 called, so Hunter Goodman, despite being the team leader in RBIs, unable to get the job done. But Hyannis Harborhawks put up 2 runs and tie things up after 4.5. You're watching Harwich Mariners baseball on the Mariners YouTube network. Head to the bottom half of inning number 5. Tyler Madison back out once again for his 5th inning of work. And this time, Alex, he's got a brand new ball game to work with, a 2-2 game, and he can kind of maybe relax and go back to the level that he was pitching back in innings number 2 and 3.
Yeah, he did a great job of keeping his cool and straining the runners on first and third last inning, and but there's no time to really relax when you have Chris Gallen, Nico Cavadas, and then Christian Fedko coming up.
So here's Chris Gallen, the third baseman, Jackson Olsen on the grass at third, and Gallen swings away and comes up empty, 0-1.
Yep, he respects the speed. Chris Gallen, the team leader in stolen bases for Harwich. Part of the reason why he made the All-Star team is just because how kind of much chaos you can cause on the bases, as well as just beating out throws at first base too.
Next pitch to Galland is over for a strike. Galland with an RBI single in the first and was hit by a pitch in the third. He would go on to steal second after reaching base both times. Looking to make it 3 in a row to start the game. Madison's 0-2 pitch misses outside.
Came outside with the fastball on the block, inside with the fastball on the block. Try to go outside once again. Fastball a little bit out. Try to get Gallen chasing that one. A good strategy, just unable to work here.
Now the 1-2 is a breaking ball that misses low, so Madison trying to mix it up on Galland. He's had trouble pitching to him so far. Let's see if he can finally get past him and get a key leadoff man retired. The 2-2. Fouled straight back.
Gallen decided a little bit late on that one. Good job kind of whipping his hands through the zone just to get a piece of that ball to stay alive here. Definitely want to get on base for Kavadas on deck.
So far, so good for fielding for Hyannis. The reason I bring that up is they are last in the entire CCBL with a league-high 40 errors committed as that breaking ball misses low to run it full and a league-low .959 fielding percentage.
Yeah, I mean, when your pitchers are struggling as much as Hyannis's are, you've got to help them out as much as you possibly can. With the defense struggling sort of the way that it has been, just a little booted ball here, an extra base runner. That can make a big difference.
Payoff pitch is ripped foul off to the left out of play.
Gallen got a good piece of the barrel on that one just a bit early. I believe that was an off-speed pitch coming on the inside, so good way to get his hands through it. Just turned his shoulder a little bit too much, and they got to try it again.
Another payoff pitch is hit hard up the middle to center field, and that's going to drop in front of McIntyre for a base hit. So Chris Gallen with 2 singles, and he's reached base now 3 times in 5 innings in this one.
Yeah, that was a good piece of hitting and a good show of strength from Chris, because that pitch a little bit up, a little bit towards the outside corner, and he was a tiny bit early on it with his body, but he was able to keep his hands back, throw it forward at the baseball, and just get enough on it to poke it into center field. And I believe that's going to prompt a mound visit, potentially a change here.
And it is going to be a change, as signaling to the first base bullpen was the manager, and that's going to be it for Tyler Madison. A commendable start from the righty from Bryant, but he is responsible for the go-ahead run at first. We'll take a quick timeout and go ahead and introduce the new pitcher. Once again, it is 2-2. Harwich and Hyannis tied after 4.5. Return to White House Field in a 2-2 game between the two last place teams in the CCBL, the Hyannis Harborhawks and the Harwich Mariners. A couple teams looking to end some losing streaks, and a new pitcher for Memphis making his debut, or for Hyannis out of Memphis making his debut, is the right-hander Landon Kelly, as we'll see if he can get out of this inning for Tyler Madison, who goes 4+ innings, giving up just the 2 earned runs on 5 hits. So decent start for the right-hander out of Bryant.
Yeah, certainly, especially when you compare it to a lot of the starts you've been seeing out of Hyannis recently. That's a kind of a breath of fresh air that you're kind of going into the bottom of the 5th inning. You still have a tie ball game. It's anyone's game. Then you go to the bullpen here. You know, nobody out. There's a runner on first base, and Nico Kavadas is coming up. But you know, you're in still a decent position here as long as he works the corners well and doesn't give Nico anything over the middle of the plate.
Kavadas 0 for 1 with a walk. Got a lot of space on the right side of the infield with Gallen being held on first, and for good reason. He's got a couple of steals in this one. Team leader in stolen bases now up to 10.
With a new pitcher in, don't be surprised if he takes off too.
So Kelly making his debut. His first pitch just misses for a ball. And how about making your debut against Nico Kavadas, the league leader in home runs with 7.
A little bit of a daunting task, especially with Nico's big frame kind of staring back at you with the bat. Looks like a twig in his hands.
Pickoff move. Gallen a little bit late getting back, but with a dive, he's able to beat the tag by fair.
Gallen's, new pitcher in the game. Never know how many looks he's going to get. Probably going to feel him out for a few pitches, but would not be surprised if he sees his tendencies and then takes off.
Another throw over late, and we're going to get a balk here. So an illegal pickoff move from Landon Kelly, and Chris Galland is awarded second base. How about that?
Not the best debut in the world so far. You've thrown a ball and you've balked a runner over into scoring position with the 3-hole hitter up. Now it'll be up to Nico Cavadas to take advantage. I mean, the runner on second base, nobody out. You have a few opportunities here to try to get that run home and take that lead right back away from the Harbor Hawks.
It's hard to tell exactly what he did there, but I think he might have moved that front foot before stepping off and throwing over to first. So he was really focused on that runner Galland, but now Galland freely heads up to second base, and Cavadas with another RBI chance. 1-0 from Kelly is a off-speed pitch over for a strike, 1-1.
Yep, so far showing that sort of tendency to throw these off-speed pitches, trying not to give Cavadas a fastball he can see right out of the hand. You know, that there's a new pitcher in, and you know, maybe he'll save something high and inside to try to tie him up a little bit here.
1-1. A check swing by Cavadas. They'll appeal down to third, and he did not swing according to third base umpire Mark Chamberlain. 2-1. Kelly 6'1", 222 pounds, out of Memphis. He's also played a little bit of infield as well, so occasionally been a two-way player. Galland on second. The 2-1 to Cavadas is chopped foul towards the Hyannis dugout.
Starting to see more and more of those two-way players. I mean, you have YD has Eric Tolman on their team. I mean, Harwich has Jordan Butler, although he's not playing two-way this summer, but at Florida he was a very good hitter along with being a pretty solid relief pitcher for them, and has done a good job pitching for Harwich this summer, which has been his main focus. But you'll certainly see guys sprinkled throughout this league, and now it's getting sprinkled throughout the minor leagues, who can do both things, and that's certainly a good tool to have.
The 2-2 is fouled straight back. Another guy that comes to mind is Matthew Mervis, the two at Kettleers.
Yep.
He's basically a very reliable reliever for them, but he ended up getting a 3-inning save against Harwich. Then the next day, in what was supposed to be a home and home, he ended up in the lineup batting leadoff playing DH. So a lot of guys have been able to play all sorts of positions, not just in the field, but including the pitching spot. Cavadas digs back in. He awaits the 2-2. And it misses low and inside, so Nico's run the count full.
Control issues was not something Kelly had this past season at Memphis. He only walked 13 batters in 42 and 2/3 innings. His main problem was he got hit pretty well. He had a 5.70 ERA, so certainly coming to the Cape to try to work on that, maybe staying out of the zone maybe a little bit more.
The 3-2 hit on the ground, just foul outside the first base bag, and opponents hit 327 against him last year. That is a scary number. I mean, I'm sure he's getting a fresh start here on the Cape, so hopefully can really improve on getting more swings and misses.
Absolutely on that one. Not a swing and a miss as Cavadas kind of jumped out of his shoes to get that one. Nearly drilled it down the line, but was just a tad early. So now that he has Nico Cavadas out front, curious to see what he'll do. Kind of slow the speed down or maybe fire it in there more.
Another 3-2, and that pitch goes off of the back leg of Cavadas, and he hardly flinched on that one. It almost looked like that ball just completely missed. So that's going to send Galland back to second, but Cavadas reaches base via a hit by pitch, the second batter hit in this one for the Harwich Mariners.
It's a costly at bat if you're Kelly, because first of all, now the entire dugout has seen a lot of what he has thrown. This is his debut, so they don't have any more tape on him or really scouting reports on him. Now they've gotten a good idea of, okay, he throws this hard of a fastball, he throws this kind of a breaking ball, and then you give up the base runner anyway, and so now there's a runner and two runners on, and a very dangerous hitter in the all-star second baseman Christian Fedko up at the plate, and now he's seen what Kelly has thrown for 7 pitches.
First pitch to Fedko is over for a strike. Christian 0 for 2 in this one. He flew out in the first, struck out swinging in the third. For a while was the Mariners' best hitter, and then it seemed like Nico Cavadas took that spot for at least the time being, and then now it's kind of like Daniel Cabrera's become the main offensive output over the last few games, and Christian takes a big swing and comes up empty. He falls behind 0-2.
High breaking ball. He climbed the ladder trying to go up and get that one, but You know, as you mentioned, you know, the good part is there's been like kind of multiple guys who've sort of stepped up here and there. I mean, yesterday you had, or couple days ago, or no, yesterday you had Joey Weimer with the 4 RBI game, and so, or was that a couple days ago?
No, that was yesterday.
That was yesterday. So, you know, you having these different guys kind of stepping up. Cabrera's been very consistent for them. It's just a matter of getting them all to have a big game together.
The 0-2, and Fedko's out in front of it. He hits it foul off to the left, and that will just make it into the grandstands.
Or I should say another game together where they put it together, because we saw that against Katuitt, I believe last Friday, in a game that got washed away. But, you know, they have enough talent on the top of this lineup with guys like Gallen, Cavadas, and then Fedko hitting, and Cabrera all hitting in a row, with Weimer standing on deck, that you would think that, you know, it's only a matter of time before, you know, multiple of those guys have big games at a time and they're able to, you know, score 4 or 5 runs, maybe 6.
No balls, 2 strikes to Fedko. And Kelly with the 0-2. Misses low and outside, and top 3 in the lineup for the Mariners. This one getting most of the job done. They've reached base a combined 6 times so far. 3 hits. So 1 and 2 now. Kelly, responsible for Cavadas at first. The runner at second, Gallen from Madison. And the 1-2 misses outside once again.
A lot of pitches early on here for Kelly, is just unable to finish off these first couple of hitters. Now Fedko, who was, you know, down 0-2, is now 2-2 count. Seen 5 pitches already, and, you know, still has a runner in scoring position waiting to go there.
Lefty warming in the pen for Hyannis. The 2-2 is hit well but foul off towards the Mariners bullpen, and it's David Moore, the lefty out of Pittsburgh, from Christian Fedko's neck of the woods from Wallingford, Pennsylvania.
It's funny, in the Mariner bullpen, they have a couple guys lounging on chairs, and there was a hot one-hopper to somebody out there, I'm not sure who it was, reached out, kind of trying to grab it, failed to do so, and came back kind of with his hand stinging a little bit.
A lot of exit velocity on pretty much anything that Christian Fedko puts in play. He's got a 2-2 count against Kelly. And after a long look-in by Landon Kelly, Fedko is granted time.
Kelly, it's like kind of welcome to the Cape Cod League here. They're on the road against a team that's fighting desperately for its playoff lives with a pretty good lineup as far as talent. Now you have to come in with a couple runners on base, and now, you know, big opportunity here for Christian Fedko to give his team the lead back.
2-2 is chopped to third. A pick there, and trying to get the runner at third, and a tag, and he falls off the bag. So Jackson Olsen makes the play, decides to go towards third, and Gallen was taken by surprise. He ended up rounding the bag, and he falls off it, and right place, right time for Jackson Olsen. So they end up getting the lead runner, and there is now 1 away.
That almost a disaster if you were Hyannis, because if you don't get Gallen, then you're not going to be able to have time to turn around and make the throw to get Fedko, so you had the bases loaded with nobody out. And for Gallen, as you mentioned, he was completely taken by surprise that that was the play he was going for, and so he didn't really slide. I think he was expecting to round it a bit, and just too much momentum going into the base took him off of it.
And the first pitch to Weimer is fouled straight back, and sounds like someone might have just made a play behind the backstop as big round of applause erupting.
Kelly, you know, hasn't really shown a ton of heat so far, and with Weimer, that big aggressive leg kick, you know, he can kind of time it perfectly right, find maybe another breaking ball. He can really drive this one.
Weimer, of course, with that 4 RBI game you mentioned, going 3 for 4 against YD. And he takes a pitch on the outside corner, so Kelly starting to battle back after hitting Nico Cavadas. He's got a big hitter in Joey Weimer down 0-2.
Yep, good couple of first pitches. Weimer a little bit late to the first one, had to foul it back, and that one kind of taken by surprise with the off-speed. Perfect placement. And so now let's see if he wants to stay on that off-speed, maybe try to go something in the dirt here.
Another 0-2, and that one's hit on the ground towards short. This could be 2. The flip to second for 1. On to first. It's a close play, and Weimer just able to leg it out. A good stretch by Ian Fair, but it's going to be runners at the corners with 2 away.
Yeah, Weimer, very good hard 90 there for pretty tall guy, long strides, and pretty skinny as well. So he's able to kind of book it down that line. Barely made it in time, but now it gives Chris Lanzilli an opportunity here. Again, runners on first and third, same as last inning. And now, but he had a hit last inning. He was one of those guys on base, and now he has an opportunity to try to drive somebody in.
So Chris Lanzilli, 1 for 2. He was stranded on third to end that 4th inning that had the potential to be a big inning for the Mariners, but despite having 3 hits to lead off the inning, it was followed by 3 straight outs recorded. So Kelly against the Wake Forest product, and check swing, and Lanzilli did go around. It's going to be an 0-1 count.
The breaking ball, Lanzilli went down with it, tried his hardest to keep those hands back, but he was too tempted out of the hand. Just went for it. So down 0-1 still. Good opportunity here. Outfielders playing straight away, so a lot of gap room to work with.
The 0-1, as Weimer bluffs down towards second, and that pitch will miss outside to Lanzilli.
Be interesting to see whether or not Weimer goes or not. I mean, obviously you want to focus on that lead run to get that lead back, so perhaps it's a risk too high to take, but on the other hand, if you are safe, maybe the runner can come in on that throw anyway.
That misses outside, and Alex, you spent a lot of time around the players over the last 6 weeks or so
Yes.
of this season, and how do you feel about the mantra as they kind of approach each of these games? As I guess you can answer that after this pitch, as Landon Kelly comes to the set and he'll throw over.
They're pretty loose. I mean, for the most part, it's not a team that gets on each other like in a negative way. They're pretty encouraging. They're pretty loose. It's a pretty loose group of guys, and so there's not really any panic with them. You'll see some frustration after losing a game like they did against YD, but for the most part, they know what they're here to do.
2-1s on the outside corner to make it 2-2, and
I mean, I took a few pictures before this game that will probably be posted later that'll show just how loose they are. Certainly a lot of characters on this team, some good humor there. So, it's a fun group of people, and they're making the most of this. And I'm sure that no matter what happens, their minds will be in the right spot.
2-2 misses outside, so that runs the count full. Weimer will get a head start at first, and with that, if Lanzilli's able to find a gap, he might be able to bring home 2 with 2 away.
Lanzilli's a good guy to have at the plate right now. He had such a great season at Wake Forest, so it was only a matter of time before he kind of flipped the script a little bit here in summer ball, and he's been doing a better job lately.
Payoff pitch is popped up to the right side. Hackenberg will give it a chase, and he will be called off, and play is made by Ian Fair to retire the side. We've played 5 from White House Field. Score is still 2-2. You're watching Harwich Mariners baseball on the Mariners YouTube network.
Best hitters in baseball, wear Franklin gloves.
Welcome you back to White House Field. Colin Casey once again rejoined by my broadcast partner Tyler Henry as we enter the 6th inning, and Tyler, a big 5th inning for the Hyannis Harborhawks. They find themselves back into this game.
Yeah, and really quickly finding their way back in. All it took was a couple of key hits, and it seems like they've been kind of playing with fire all day long, and they're finally able to make something of it as the bottom part of the order really produces. But let me tell you, Colin, it is beautiful down there, field side here at White House Field. Haven't had a chance to really kind of go out and sit in the bleachers before, and it's a heck of a spot. I mean, we've seen kind of all the other stadiums and teams here in the league and the kind of setups that they have, but White House might have one of the best for just overall viewing experience.
And it's funny, actually. You look at what you're seeing on your picture right now, and there's some really dark clouds overhead at White House Field, but temperature-wise, it's pretty perfect outside. Not too hot, and with night coming, things are starting to cool off. You might end up needing to grab a sweatshirt out of your car. So leadoff man Ian Fair will dig in. First pitch he sees from Tommy Vale misses below the knees.
Yep, and we'll see whether or not Vale can continue his success here. Came in a really tough spot with 2 runners in scoring position back in the 5th inning, but he was able to preserve the tie. So it's going to be a tough line when all is said and done for Connor McCullough, but the Mariners still on top for now.
Ball's hit out towards left center, and over to make the play is Chris Galland. So just a couple of pitches, and the leadoff man is retired to begin the 6th.
And Vale, a guy that got a lot of use early on in the season. It seems like his production has kind of dropped off a little bit, or not his production, but just the amount of innings that he has pitched has dropped off recently. But good to see him back out there, and he brings a lot to the table. He's got the 9 innings pitched, and the 13 strikeouts to 5 walks coming into today's game. He's able to get an out on Ian Fair there.
So Jackson Olsen, the third baseman, will try his luck as the first pitch he sees is on the outside corner. A couple of ground outs on the ledger for Olsen. Came into this one with a .246 batting average, as that will even the count. No homers, 6 RBIs. He has got a couple of steals, so a little bit of speed to burn as swings and fouls pitch off, and he's behind 1 and 2.
And going back to a play from an inning ago where Chris Galland was just bolting his way into third base. Looked like he was going to be safe, but he just overslid it. Sometimes a little bit too much speed for his own good as he kind of overslid the second bag. We've seen him overslide today, but it results in an out, and Harwich had plenty of opportunities but couldn't make anything of it.
Swing and a miss, strike 3, so that is the second K recorded by Tommy Vale, and Olsen is retired. Yeah, and that play at third kind of changed the entire narrative of the whole inning. I mean, it would have been bases loaded, nobody out if he was able to stay on the bag, but instead, 2 on, 1 away. A couple of clutch outs recorded by Landon Kelly, and it's an entirely different inning.
Would have been bases loaded, nobody out, and then Joey Weimer grounded in to what turned into a fielder's choice that would have probably come in and scored him.
So the first pitch to Mitch McIntyre is in for a strike. McIntyre kicked off last inning with a walk. He would come around to score on a fielder's choice. The 0-1 catches that one in on the hands, and it's fouled off. So Vale, like McCullough earlier in his start, starting to really attack these Hyannis hitters.
And it seemed like McCullough kind of slowed down on that as the outing went on. He started kind of trying to paint things on the corners, maybe not quite as confident in his stuff. So for one reason or another, he was loose, and Hyannis was able to attack him.
The 0-2 from Vale is a breaking ball that misses just above the letters.
A couple of pitches for Vale to play with here. We've seen him keep the strikeout pitches down typically this season, and we'll see whether or not he gets Mitch McIntyre to chase something low in the zone or whether he challenges him with a fastball here.
1-2 will miss low. And for Hyannis, David Moore was warming up when things kind of got into trouble with Kelly on the mound, but he has since sit down, so we'll see if Kelly goes out for a second inning of work in his debut. 2-2 is hit high in the air, right center, running over is Weimer. He has to go a long way, and he ends up making the catch as Max Marshak really lost that ball, so Weimer comes all the way into center field at one of his more natural positions to make the catch, and that will end the inning. We're through 5 1/2. It is 2-2 from White House Field between the Hyannis Harbor Hawks and the Harwich Mariners. You're watching Harwich Mariners baseball on the Mariners YouTube network. It's the bottom of the 6th from Harwich. Colin Casey alongside Tyler Henry. And Tyler, this is the first game this season between these two teams out of the 4 meetings that it's been really close, at least deep into the ball game.
Yeah, I mean, obviously a 6-0 affair here at White House the last time these two teams met, and then really a two one-sided affairs in the doubleheader as Harwich won 7-2 and then lost 7-2 in the second half. So, yeah, the first competitive game, and these are the kinds of games that it feels like Hyannis has found ways to lose this season. As you know, we've seen how many times as we check the scoreboard feed, oh wow, Hyannis has taken a lead. They hold it through about 6 innings, and then things kind of unravel. So for a Harbor Hawks team that has just found ways to lose, they're looking for their 7th victory here, and they've got some work to do, as do the Mariners, to come away with a win today.
Yeah, Hyannis finding themselves behind early through 4 innings, but able to come back with 2 of their own in the top of the 5th, including the game-tying RBI single by Rigsby Mosley. And that is why we are at 2-2 now. So for the Mariners, it's the bottom of the order, combined 1 of 6, but catcher Pat Winkle, who digs in now, owns that one hit, and he actually drove in the second run for the Harwich Mariners back in the 4th.
Yep, and a look to get something started here for his team. Again, he's looked very good in RBI situations. These are the at-bats where his bat is kind of needed to come into play a little bit more, and we'll see whether he can set the table for the guys behind him as we'll watch a first pitch in there for a called strike.
Winkle, he's seen a little bit more time. His back-to-back games he's played in. Went 0 for 4 yesterday. Him and Mike Rothenberg, the 2 catchers on the roster, as a fastball will be out on the outside corner to make it 0-2. With the righty on the mound, easy choice for the Mariners to send out the left-handed bat of Winkle. 0-2, and that'll miss just outside as Kelly thought he had strike 3.
Yeah, he had been awfully close, but that one's going to be off the black on the outer half, and we'll see whether or not Pat Winkle can bounce back here, still trailing in the count.
The 1-2. Foul tip, and it is held onto by the catcher Hackenberg for strike 3, so Pat Winkle now 1 for 3 on the evening, and Dylan Noisy will try his luck against Landon Kelly.
Yeah, and Noisy, it just seems like he's trying to swing the bat too hard. We've seen him take home run swings quite a bit this season, but you know, it's like Coach Engler told the guys, you just got to focus on putting the barrel on the bat and letting the rest kind of happen. Noisy's going to have to follow through on that if he's going to avoid going 0 for 3 here to start this game and continue the skid that started off his season.
Noisy comes in as with just 125 batting average as he grounds out to the pitcher, an easy play for Kelly despite the speed of Noisy. So Noisy continues to struggle at the plate today. He's now 0 for 3, and 2 away, that'll bring up Max Marshak, who's 0 for 2.
Actually looked like he laid down a bunt there, so just kind of keeping it right in front of the pitcher, and Landon Kelly was able to pick it up and throw on to first. Here comes Max Marshak.
So Kelly, a much easier start to this inning compared to when he came in with a runner on and nobody out to relieve Tyler Madison back in the 5th. And the pitch to Marshak will miss outside, so you wonder if Kelly, if he's able to make it a 1-2-3 inning, has earned himself the 7th.
Probably has. I mean, at this point, you got to go with what's working when you have a bullpen as thin as what Hyannis has been using this year.
Now Marshak will lay down a bunt, and it will bounce foul, hit the chalk about halfway down the line, and Olsen didn't hesitate to let that one roll foul with the speed of Marshak.
Yeah, no reason to try to pick that one up and challenge him over there at first base when you can try to go back at him here with an 0-1 count. Seems to be the philosophy, and we'll see whether or not that pays off.
So Marshak retrieves his bat. We'll try things again. Marshak had the day off yesterday, but batted leadoff against Bourne. Went 1 for 4 with the lone run scored for Harwich, and he'll hit this one up the middle towards short. Gloved by Westberg, he throws on to first, and it's a 1-2-3 inning for Landon Kelly and the Hyannis Harbor Hawks. We've played 6 from White House Field. Hyannis and Harwich tied 2-2. You're watching Mariners baseball on the Harwich Mariners YouTube network. White House Field fans, Cape Cod Healthcare is the leading provider of healthcare services for residents and visitors of Cape Cod with 2 acute care hospitals and more than 450 physicians. For more information, please visit capecodhealth.org. Cape Cod Healthcare. Expert physicians, quality hospitals, superior care.
The 7th inning is open, as is the door for the Harwich Mariners after the YD Red Sox take a victory 5-3 over the Bourne Braves, but more importantly, after the Chatham Anglers take a 7-1 victory over the Brewster Whitecaps. So Harwich with a victory today could put themselves 1 point ahead of the Whitecaps. With a tie, they could be even, but Colin, you get the feeling it's going to have to be a victory or nothing today for the Harwich Mariners.
Yep, and with a win, they would put themselves in just such a good situation with a lot of games against Brewster coming up. They still have 3 more games against the Whitecaps, including 2 to end the season, and then the one tomorrow. So, golden opportunity for the Mariners, but they got to take care of business against a stingy Hyannis Harborhawks team tonight.
And that stingy team will send Adam Hackenberg up to the plate. First pitch he sees from Tommy Vale, misses high and away, and that's going to be ball 1. Colin, the other thing is these two teams have done the exact same thing the last 5 days. This has been loss, win. A Harwich day off as Katuitt's game got canceled, and the other game was a loss for the Brewster Whitecaps and then a loss. So tomorrow, even if Harwich does lose today, one of those teams has to win, unless, of course, they come up with a tie, which at this point would be unsurprising to a lot of people.
Yep, and again, that game starting at 5 o'clock in Brewster, so wonder if that game will go to distance with darkness potentially playing a role.
2-0 pitch is on its way. Hackenberg will swing through that. The longest game of Harwich's season came against the Brewster Whitecaps, and 2 of the 3 longest games for the Mariners have come against Brewster. So you get the feeling these are 2 teams that tend to kind of grind out long games against each other. We'll see what happens there as the 2-1 from Vale is a fastball in there for a strike, and the count here is 2-2.
And there was a good amount of offense in basically every game that these 2 teams have played against each other. The last game at Brewster was a 7-5 victory with, I think, 3 home runs hit by the Whitecaps, 2 actually, but a lot of extra base hits in that game.
Swing and a miss, strike 3. Adam Hackenberg is down on strikes, and that'll be another K for Tommy Vale, who has come in and pitched exceptionally well. He has retired the first 6 batters he's faced.
Yep, 3 strikeouts for Vale, averaging 1 inning so far, and hasn't quite been against easy opponents. He came in to face the heart of the order, so come in and has retired all 6 guys that he's faced.
Not only did he face the heart of the order, but he did it with 2 guys in scoring positions. The first pitch is going to be in there for a called strike just on the outer half of the black, and it's a 0-1 count here on Anthony Servideo, who stands in today. He's got a strikeout and a walk. Servideo digs in from the right side. Big sweeping hook. How about the movement on that one as Vale drops it in there for strike 2.
Yeah, and this kind of outing is really important for Vale. He can maybe build some more confidence with the pitching coaches as well and let him know that he's a viable option out of the pen.
0-2 pitch, a fastball that misses low. You get the feeling if Tommy Vale puts together another good outing here, I mean, he could very well be kind of another Will Heflin out of the pen where he can come into a game like this, eat up some innings, and really give you an excellent performance as well. 1-2 pitch, off speed in there for strike 3. Anthony Servideo down on strikes, and it's going to be K number 4 on the day here for Tommy Vale.
And you look at the major league level and how hard left-handed specialists are to come by, so you can never have enough good lefties out of the pen. We've seen what Heflin's done this season, and now we'll see if guys like Tommy Vale, guys like Blake Espinal can kind of hit their stride and be key pieces out of the bullpen as the Mariners push for a postseason berth.
Here comes the guy who has given Harwich fits today. It's going to be Jordan Westbrook. First pitch is in there for a called strike to him, and he has reached base on 3 hits today, an infield single, regular single, and a double for him. He also drove in one of the 2 runs for the Harborhawks today. Here comes the 0-1 pitch, and Westberg will pull the trigger and swing through that for strike 2.
The other RBI, of course, belonged to the man on deck in Rigsby Mosley, who had that big single in the 5th.
Vale hoping his services won't be needed as he comes from the windup and delivers the 0-2 pitch. It'll be fouled away here by Jordan Westberg. And Tommy Vale, not the most intimidating figure out there at just 6 foot 185, but boy, has he been just giving opposing hitters fits this year. Him and Will Heflin in similar boats as Heflin checks in at just 5'11", so the 2 shortest pitchers on the team other than Jared Weatherby. But both have some pretty good velocity on the fastball as this one is going to be popped high in the air. Winkle chasing it back near foul territory, and he'll let this one go behind the screen. Count will stay 0-2.
And Westberg with his pair of hits to lead off his day, continues a 3-game hitting streak now. That was his first RBI in quite some time. Last time he drove in a run was in a loss 8-1. The lone run scored back on July 9th against Commodores.
And Westberg, one of the later rivals on this team, as he did not play in any of the first 3 games against Harwich. The 0-2 is going to be swung on, and that one's going to be taken down the line just foul. And boy, that would have gotten past the outstretched arm of Cavadas at third.
And this is an interesting stat. Back on July 5th, Jordan Westberg drove in 4 runs batted in, or drove in 4 runs, period. Hyannis Harborhawks lost that game 16-4.
Oh boy. I think I remember that. Was that the Orleans game? Get to it, okay. So many teams have kind of taken Hyannis behind the woodshed this year. It's gotten hard to keep track. But here it's an 0-2 pitch. This will be fouled away by Jordan Westberg, as Harwich would love to be one of those teams, but it seems like they don't really beat teams like that. I mean, they beat Wareham by a score of 13-4 earlier this season, but aside from that, almost all the Harwich games have been awfully close this season.
It's been a very strange year in terms of success against opponents for the Harwich Mariners.
Vale with what seems like the 5th 0-2 pitch. This one will miss high and away, maybe just trying to get Jordan Westberg to swing at something outside, but Westberg will settle in here. It'll be a 1-2 count as Tommy Vale gets ready for the 7th pitch of the at-bat, in a count that's still just 1-2. Coming out of the windup, here comes that pitch, and that will miss down in the dirt to even the count at 2 apiece. Jordan Westberg fighting his way back.
And that's what makes some of the best hitters in this league the best, is even when they fall behind 0-2, they're able to make it a productive at-bat in that they can at least waste pitches at the very least, or maybe find something to hit after working the count back 2-2 or 3-2.
Here comes the 2-2, and that one's going to be in there for strike 3. It's a 1-2-3 inning featuring a 3-strikeout performance from Tommy Vale, and the top of the 7th is over. When we come back, Harwich looks to go on top. Still a 2-2 game here at White House Field on the Harwich Mariners YouTube network. And welcome back to White House Field here as we work our way into the bottom half of the 7th inning. Tyler Henry alongside Colin Casey, and Harwich looking to get it back. It'll be the top of the order coming up here. Daniel Cabrera, Chris Galland, and Nico Cavadas. And Colin, it seems like Harwich has had plenty of opportunities today. It's just been bringing guys around that continues to be the struggle here for the Mariners.
Yeah, it certainly has been. That's been the kind of the story all season long, and it really hasn't mattered who the opponent is. It's just a troubling trend for them this season, but we know how great their pitching's been, and it's another reason why they're still in this game, and this is going to give the top of the order an opportunity to maybe continue the success that they individually have had in this one.
So here comes Daniel Cabrera, who today has reached on a base hit back in the first, came around to score the first run, and he will take a pitch from Landon Kelly in there for strike 1. Kelly coming out for another inning of work. He came in originally to pitch in the 4th inning. And he'll throw another one that will just miss there to even the count at 1-1.
Yeah, for Cabrera, he's kind of been put as a role of table setter, something he's not been used to this season, but he's done out of either the 3 or 4 hole, but he swings and misses here, make it a 1-2 count.
So with a 1-2 count, Cabrera will have to shorten up a little bit here. He stands in from the right side. Landon Kelly looking for another clean frame here, and here comes the pitch. That one is going to be just low, and the count is even here at 2-2. So the 2-2 count. Daniel Cabrera looking to set the table here, as you mentioned, for a Harwich squad that has had plenty of runners. And here is going to drive one out to deep left field. It is back. It is gone. No, it's off the wall. That one catching that black part of the Energizer Bunny sign, and it's going to be a stand-up double for Daniel Cabrera. What a way to start the inning here. And Harwich has a runner in scoring position with nobody out.
Yeah, Trevor Hauver kind of looked up as in thinking that that ball was clear on the fence, but ends up catching the bottom of the wall. And once again, Daniel Cabrera coming up big like he did to lead off the first. Let's see if it'll be the same result, and he's able to come around to score with Chris Gallen at the plate, who's reached base 3 times in this contest.
Yeah, Gallen so far today has gotten 2 singles. He has also been hit by a pitch, and he's stolen 2 bases as well. He reached over on second on a balk and then was thrown out at third base on a fielder's choice. So here comes the first pitch to him, and it's going to be in there for a strike. And yeah, it really looked like that ball may have dropped in just behind the screen, but hitting off the sign there, and it's going to be a double instead for Daniel Cabrera.
There's some kids standing out in left field there a little bit disappointed that that ball wasn't hit about 5 feet higher.
Absolutely, and I'm sure everybody in the Harwich dugout thinking the same thing as here comes Adam Hackenberg to have a word with his pitcher. Chris Gallen does have an RBI today. He actually drove in Daniel Cabrera back in the first inning. Cabrera reached on the single, stole second, came around to third on a pass ball, and then Chris Gallen was able to drive him home.
Yeah, both singles in this game for Chris Gallen hit right up the middle, so he's doing a good job of squaring up the baseball, not trying to do too much, just hit some simple line drives that are able to drop in front of those Harbor Hawk outfielders.
Well, with the runner being kind of held on second base, there's less room up the middle this time for Gallen, but plenty of space to the left. Here comes the pitch. Gallen's going to hit this one, and it's going to be right back to the pitcher who stumbles. Kelly throws on to first. It's going to be in time, but he succeeds in moving Daniel Cabrera up 90 feet, and now the go-ahead run for the Mariners is just 90 feet away for Nico Cavadas.
That was nearly a catastrophe for Hyannis because as Kelly came off the mound to field it, he just lost his footing. But he was able to stabilize himself enough, and despite the speed of Gallen, made a clean throw to first, a great stretch by Fair. But as you mentioned, runner on third, the go-ahead run in the bottom of the 7th with the leading RBI man for the Harwich Mariners.
So Cavadas will dig in here for a 4th time. He flew out to center his first time up, walked his second time, and then was hit by a pitch back in the 5th inning. Seemed like a 5th inning where Harwich had plenty of opportunities. And they're going to intentionally walk Nico Cavadas here. How about that?
And you know what? I don't blame them in this situation. 1, you get the righty-righty matchup. 2, you get to avoid facing Nico Cavadas. And 3, with 1 out and runners at the corners, you bring back the double play possibility as the Harbor Hawks defense shifts into double play depth.
Mathematically, it may make sense, but they're going to have to face off against Christian Fetko, who has been arguably one of the better hitters here in the Harwich lineup. But as you mentioned, Colin, they get the favorable matchup in terms of righty on righty, and with 1 away, it's a bold move. You do put runners at the corners, but you do put the double play back in play. So let's see what Fetko can do. First pitch he sees. He's going to drive this one out into shallow right field. It's going to be caught, and they're going to send Gallant. He's on his way home. The throw is going to be a good one, and he is going to be safe. The go-ahead run scores for the Mariners here in the 7th, and Crazy Chris is at it again. It's going to be an RBI sac fly for Christian Fetko.
Yeah, that actually brought home Daniel Cabrera over at third base, but regardless, Cabrera showing off his speed in this game. He had a steal back in the first, and this time on a ball hit not too far out towards Goodman and right. He tests his arm and just able to get past that tag from Hackenberg, so the Mariners retake the lead in the 7th after a tough couple of innings at the plate.
So here comes Chris Gallant, his team now leading by a run, and see whether or not he can drive another one in here. 2 outs, here comes the pitch, and that one's going to be fouled away back towards the Hyannis bullpen. Strike 1.
Of course, for Cabrera, a lot of people think about his contact and power, but you forget about the speed he also brings to the table, and it's slowly but surely started to kind of manifest itself over the last week or so.
Weaver digs in. Landon Kelly back out of the stretch. Here comes the 0-1. That's going to be dropped in there for strike 2, and Weaver's falling behind here. 0-2.
He really got a perfect perfect jump at third, too. He needed one because Goodman lined that ball up perfectly and made a solid throw to the plate. I believe it hopped a couple of times in. Hackenberg put himself in great position, but just a half a second too late.
So the 0-2 to Weimer will miss high and inside. Yeah, really a perfect jump. And, you know, we've talked about how many more stolen bases he's had recently. It seems like he's kind of eased into that. He is one of the leaders on the team, which is kind of crazy when you consider that this year for Daniel Cabrera at LSU, not a ton of stolen bases. Actually, just the one. But already, I believe, 6 for the Harwich Mariners this year as this pitch will miss low and outside to Weimer to even the count up here at 2-2.
The way Weimer's been swinging the bat, he might be able to keep this inning alive. Cavadas not a ton of speed over on first, but you know, a ball in the gap could set up 2 men in scoring position with two-way and Chris Lanzilli on deck.
Weimer's been hitting a lot better after taking a few days off. Already the one hit today and the run scored, and here he's going to chop one foul down the first base line to even the count, or keep the count here, I should say, at 2-2. So Cavada's still over there on first base after being intentionally walked, and Christian Fedko able to get the job done. Seems like that's the second time this year we've seen a really timely sacrifice fly out of Christian Fedko, maybe even the third, as he's okay with getting the out, but he makes it a productive one.
He also had that go-ahead 2-run double, I believe, against Brewster at White House Field a couple of weeks ago.
2-2 to Weimer. That one's going to be taken shallow on the infield, right at the first baseman, and plenty of time for Fair to settle under it and make the catch for out number 3. But that'll be done after the Harwich Mariners bring the go-ahead run across the score, and they lead it 3-2 here on the Harwich Mariners YouTube network. Welcome back to White House Field. Tyler Henry, Colin Casey, the Harwich Mariners able to inch their way ahead of the Hyannis Harbor Hawks as they now lead at 3-2, and now it'll be Tommy Vale trying to hold a lead here as we go to the 8th inning.
Yep, and this inning, it wasn't really about the big hit. Of course, Daniel Cabrera leading things off with a leadoff double, but then it was just station-to-station baseball. Ground ball by Gallen moving up to third. He had the intentional walk for Cavadas and just took that fly ball from Fedko and some aggressive base running by Cabrera. So this could be one of those gritty games where the Mariners just kind of find ways to win, and that's all you need right now with a loss to Brewster to try to get yourself back in the playoff picture, and we'll have a pinch hitter to lead things off to begin the 8th inning.
Yep, coming on here for the Hyannis Harbor Hawks to start things off in their half of the inning. It looks like it will be Bryce Teodosio.
Yeah, he's going to go ahead and replace Mosley, which is an interesting decision, but I kind of understand it. Mosley, the lefty, they're going to try to get a guy who hits righties pretty well.
Teodosio has plenty of experience against the Harwich Mariners in the 2019 season, as we'll watch that one miss 4-1 on the season. As an overall product, Teodosio is hitting 174. 46 at bats, he has 8 hits. He'll swing through that one for strike 2.
Yeah, Vale continues to look strong out there. It's now in his, what would be, if he gets the out here, it would be 3 completed innings for him, but just been so good, especially under the circumstances in which he came into.
Here comes the 1-2, swing and a miss, strike 3. Teodosio down on strikes, and picking right up where he left off here is Tommy Vale. That's the 4th consecutive strikeout here of his outing, and now he will face off against Trevor Hauber.
And that's 5 of his last 6 as well. He just mixed in the one fly ball to McIntyre. But here comes the real big test. He was able to get through the heart of the lineup cleanly the first time. Let's see if he can do it again with Hover, a lefty, at the plate.
And you wonder whether or not Vale will be called upon to come back out and pitch the ninth. There is an arm warming up right now in the Harwich bullpen as the first pitch is going to miss low for ball 1. But, I mean, Joe Boyle and Jared Weatherby, typically the two guys tasked with coming in late in games, pitched yesterday and combined to kind of give up the loss to YD. So those guys probably not going to be in as the 1-0 will miss low.
Nope, and the guy warming up might get a chance at his first save of the season. Will Heflin, lefty in the pen out of Tennessee.
And why not? Heflin's had one of the better years of anybody on this Harwich squad, so he warms up over there. But for the time being, it's Tommy Vale who sails one high and inside here, in on the hands of Trevor Hover.
Yeah, quick correction. It would actually be his second save of the year, but it would be his first one-inning save because he has come into situations where he's pitched those last 3 innings, and he's been remarkable. So could be a big opportunity for Will Heflin to establish himself as a late inning guy.
And this is really the part of the year where you realize how thin the bullpen is, as this one's going to be zipped in there for a strike to Hover. With Boyle and Weatherby pitching yesterday, you got Heflin warming up right now. You got Tommy Vale pitching in this game, and then Jordan Butler started yesterday. Your remaining options in the bullpen, as this is fouled away, are Cam Bauman, Nick Stewart, and Blake Espinal. That's it.
And I wouldn't even call Nick Stewart a viable option because just a couple days ago he went 3 innings.
True. Yeah, so Espinal not available. So it's Cam Bauman, Stewart not available. It's just Blake Espinal and Cam Bauman. So yeah, I mean, you see we're losing Caden O'Brien, losing as this will miss high for ball 4 to Trevor Hover. So the first walk of the day given up by Tommy Vale. But yeah, I mean, you lose Logan Allen to Team USA. You lose Caden O'Brien to an apparent injury. You lose Buddy Hayward to an apparent injury. And, you know, that makes you pull another guy in to start starting games, as Carson Seymour kind of took his spot in the rotation. The one good thing, though, is with Jordan Butler maybe getting into the rotation, that allows Nick Block to go back to the bullpen in that relief role, as the runner is going to move up to second here.
I'm really confused as to what just happened, but he sprinted up, and I think they're going to call Vale for a balk because he didn't even make an effort to go ahead and throw there. No one said anything, so I'm going to go ahead and assume that that one was a balk. But what a huge one, as it puts a tying run in scoring position.
Colin, you and I have not seen a balk all season long. We've seen 2 today. So every umpiring crew has their own thing that they watch for more closely than anybody else, and clearly that's this one, as the first pitch will be put up out of the zone. The more important thing is that now Hunter Goodman, the league leader in RBIs coming into today, has a runner in scoring position, and that does represent the tying run for the Harbor Hawks. It'll be a 1-0 count. From the stretch, here comes Tommy Vale. Here comes the 1-0 pitch, and that'll be swung on and missed to even the count at 1-1 here.
Goodman trying to provide some run support for his teammate Landon Kelly, who went 3 innings, but struggled in the last inning, giving up that go-ahead run. See if Goodman can help him square things up once again.
Holding the runner very closely on second. The 1-1's also swung on and missed. Looked like the same spot and the same pitch as Vale came home with a fastball. And now a little hole here for Hunter Goodman to work out of. He's already struck out once today.
I think the goal for Goodman is just to put a ball in play, something that his team's really struggled to do against Tommy Vale.
He's had 1 hit today, but it came off of McCullough, not Tommy Vale. So here comes the 1-2 pitch, and that will be swung on, and he narrowly gets a piece of that one. So the count stays 1-2 here on Goodman, and yeah, nobody has put the ball in play yet and found their way on base. This is the kind of stuff that we're used to seeing Tommy Vale have throughout the course of a season. It seemed like he had 1 tough outing, but aside from that, he had looked really dominant, and he's right back to his old self here. So with a 1-2 count, Goodman's ready for the pitch. Vale will bring it home, and that'll be skipped in the dirt. Good block by Winkle, and I think now is a fair time, as it is almost 9 o'clock, Colin, to bring up that neither starting manager, or neither traditional manager for either one of these teams is here today, as Coach Englert is off at a ceremony where his wife is being honored, and Coach Gassman is hurt, or is not hurt, he is sick today. So neither manager is getting the start here today. It's kind of a strange day for baseball here on the Cape Cod Baseball League. And of course, Coach Bascarosa for Harwich has got the start out there in the dugout, as an off-speed pitch from Vale will be fouled away, and the count stays 2-2.
A lot of movement on that pitch from Vale. It looked like it started almost above the shoulders of Goodman and ended up breaking over the plate and in on him. So very tough pitch to hit, but somehow Hunter Goodman able to stay alive, and that's what makes him such a tough guy to pitch against. He's able to foul off a lot of pitches and prolong a ton of at-bats.
Yeah, he may be working on something new as well, as we've seen to traditionally just a fastball and a cutter out of him. Here comes the 2-2 pitch. Fastball will be fouled back to the screen here. So a long at bat being worked by Hunter Goodman. He's not going down without a fight. Two pitch to Hunter Goodman is pending here as Will Heflin continues to warm out in the pen. Tommy Vale out there working right now, and here comes the pitch. That'll be fouled away once again, and this will be the 8th pitch of the at-bat coming up.
And interestingly enough, Joe Boyle's got a ball down there. I haven't seen him start throwing yet, so I wouldn't exactly assume that he's going to be available for this game, but could be an interesting development depending on how things turn out in this inning.
He had plenty of rest between his start and then his first relief appearance in quite some time just a day ago. You wonder if they'd pitch him in back-to-back games, but for the time being, here is Vale checking the runner and bringing the 2-2 home. Swing and a miss, strike 3. Hunter Goodman goes down on strikes, and Tommy Vale is dealing with one more out to get here in the 8th.
Yeah, that's a huge strikeout to record after the balk moved Trevor Hoffer over to second. So now it'll be up to Ian Fair, who's 0 for 3 in this one, to try to tie things up for Hyannis and desperately end this miserable 3-game losing streak for the Harbor Hawks.
Fair more than due for a hit coming into today's game, hitting just a shade under 500. Feeling his average will fall by quite a bit here if he fails to reach base in his 4th at bat. First pitch from Vale's in there. 4 called strikes. So far it's a strikeout, a fly out, and another fly out. 1 to center, 1 to left for Ian Fair. And Colin, every guy in the lineup has struck out at least once today. Here comes the 0-1 pitch. That's going to be a check swing, and that does include Bryce Teodosio, who is used as a pinch hitter. So all 10 guys who have come up to the plate today have recorded a strikeout for the Hyannis Harbor Hawks.
Not too surprising considering the 2 pitchers that have been sent out there for Harwich, McCullough and Vale, 2 guys that strike out a lot of batters when they come into the game.
They'll come set. Here comes the 1-1, and that will be swung on and ripped out into right center field. Weimer chases it back. He looks up, and it's off the wall. 1 run will come in to score, and it's going to be a tie game here. An RBI double for Ian Fair, and we're knotted up at 3.
Yep, just 2 strikes away from getting out of the inning for Vale after that 1-out walk, but a great job of opposite field hitting by Ian Fair, who's typically a big-time pull hitter, but this time he goes into right center, hits his ball, it splits between Marshak and Weimer, and all of a sudden we have a new ball game, and the go-ahead run is on second base with 2 away for the Hyannis Harbor Hawks.
So Jackson Olsen will come up. He's also due for a hit today as he is 0 for 3. Strikeout, a ground out, and another ground out for him, and he'll swing at the first pitch he sees and foul it back, so Vale gets ahead here to start the at-bat 0-1. And yeah, for Ian Fair, he's played in just 11 games so far this year. He's had 30 at-bats, and the stats are a bit limited, but there's a reason he entered today hitting .467. Olsen digs in. Vale brings the 0-1 home, and that one's going to be taken foul. So once again, out ahead of the hitter 0-2 here is Tommy Vale.
And out of the 3 hits delivered by Harbor Hawks bats in this one, or out of the 6 of them, 3 of them have been doubles. So been able to find the gap a few times, but so far only 1 run scoring as a result. Let's see if they can continue that trend here.
Olsen will watch an off-speed in there for strike 3, and that will end the inning, but not before, once again, the Hyannis Harbor Hawks are able to tie things up. We go to the bottom of the 8th here. Harwich will have Lanzilli, Winkle, and Noisy due up when we come back here on the Harwich Mariners YouTube network. back to White House Field. Tyler Henry alongside Colin Casey as it is knotted up once again, 3-3 here. The Harwich Mariners and Hyannis Harborhawks doing battle, and it'll be a new pitcher coming into the game here as David Moore takes over for the Harborhawks. One of plenty of pitchers available to pitch today for them. Moore out of Pittsburgh and out of the University of Pitt. And how about this, Colin? Another good late arrival for them. He has yet to give up a single hit. He's only pitched in 1 2/3 of an inning, though, and struck out 2 guys compared to 1 walk.
Yep, this one being obviously a little bit different. 6, 7, 8 hitters in a tie game in the bottom of the 8th, so the pressure is going to be on. And this part of the lineup, not too bad in the game for the Mariners. 2 of 9, but an RBI mixed in with Pat Winkle driving in at the time what was a second run score to make it 2-0 for Harwich. So see if Chris Lanzilli can start things off for the Mariners and get that offense going once again like they did last inning.
Yep, it seems like they've only had, actually there have only been 2 innings where they haven't had a single runner on base. It was the 2nd and the 6th, and this has been the part of the order due up during both of those innings, but as you mentioned, a pretty good 4th for them. So trying to stick to the theme here of alternate good innings. It'll be Chris Lanzilli to lead things off. He is 1 for 3 today, a flyout and a strikeout to go along with a single. Of course, a late arrival in David Moore, and you know, he did have a pretty good first outing, but that's not to say that his stuff has been unhittable this year, and we'll see whether Harwich can come in and jump on him here. Moore's first pitch is going to miss high and away. Lanzilli staying patient here, just trying to find his way on base and find a way for Harwich to bring him around. Here comes the 1-0. That'll just barely catch the zone high and outside and count to 1-1 here.
And we know Lanzilli's got some power. Of course, he hit that home run in the game that was discontinued. 12-0 game against Katuitt a few days ago.
1-1's going to be a breaking ball in there for strike 2. Yeah, he had a really good performance in that game, as did seemingly everybody else.
Yeah, he actually had 4 RBIs in that game, and including a big home run at the time, but fortunately won't be counted down in the stat books.
Swings the 1-2. That's going to get away from Hackenberg, but he'll throw down to first in time to record the first out of the inning.
There's a big out by Moore as now he's got a lefty and Winkle to deal with, and then another righty, so I think he got the big out of the inning, but you know, Winkle 1 for 3 in this one, just needs a base hit to try to start things out for the Mariners, and I wouldn't be surprised to see a pinch runner used if he's able to get on base.
Yeah, and certainly it seems like he's hit better in RBI situations, although again, this could be a chance where he could drive himself in if he could put one over the wall. But watch that one miss for ball 1. David Moore once again out of Pitt, getting his 2nd start for the Harborhawks here in 2019. The 1-0 pitch is going to be a breaking ball in there for a called strike. And in the 2019 season, he had a 6.75 ERA for Pitt through 22 innings pitched. He struck out 34 batters but walked 27, so control a bit of a problem for him. Gave up 22 runs, 17 of them earned, as the 1-1 will miss down and away here to Winkle.
Yeah, I saw when he was warming up, and he's got a ton of break on his off-speed stuff, which is a blessing and a curse because sometimes you don't know where that ball is going to end up when you kind of snap your wrist like that, but it's got a lot of movement on it. Let's see if he can fool Pat Winkle here.
2-1's a fastball upstairs, and that one will miss, so it's a 3-1 count here to Pat Winkle. He's going to have to put something in the zone here to the Harwich catcher. Mariners tied up here, 3-3. Here comes the 3-1 pitch, and that's going to miss inside. So Winkle takes first, and we'll see whether or not they keep him out there, if they put in a pinch runner. Although, Colin, a lot of the guys we've seen used off the bench as pinch hitters not available today, as all of them are in the lineup.
Yeah, you're absolutely right there. It'd be interesting to see who they would bring in, if anyone. But yeah, they're going to keep Winkle in out there. He's not the slowest guy in the world, but for now, it's going to be up to Dylan Noisy to try to advance him further. Maybe give the Mariners a go-ahead run in the bottom of the 8th.
Certainly not the slowest guy in the world. He is the only guy on this Harwich team that does not have a single stolen base throughout the entire course of his collegiate career. But first pitch will be in there for called strike 1 to Dylan Noisy, who is 0 for 3 today. The Texas Tech faithful have been a little bit slow today, 0 for 6 for them.
Yeah, I would say the fastest guy on the bench right now is probably Corey Acton.
Here comes the 0-1 to Noisy. That one's going to miss, and the count is even here at 1-1. Yeah, you got to think about the guys that are not playing today. Corey Acton, Mike Rothenberg, Mike Ludwig.
That's true. Ludwig actually might be the one up there. But again, not too many speed threats, so might just be better off leaving the starters in.
And actually, I think the fastest guy on the bench right now is a throw over to first to keep Winkle close. Might be Hal Hughes.
That's right. I forgot about Hal
Hughes is currently on there. I had to flip through my roster to kind of verify. I knew there was one player that I was forgetting about, but again, they stick with Winkle over there for the time being, and the 1-1 pitch to Dylan Noisy will be on its way here from David Moore, who checks the runner back to first once again and brings the 1-1 home. That one's fouled away. Winkle was running. Seems like he's had a good jump a couple of times, but every single time the ball's been fouled out of play, and he's just trying to get a stolen base. That's all he wants right now.
I'd love to see him take that second base, then pull a Ricky Henderson and hold it over his head.
That would certainly be an experience as the 1-2 coming up here from David Moore. From the stretch, he'll come to the belt, and here comes the 1-2 pitch. And that one's going to be taken into right field. It's a little bloop single. Winkle's going to turn and run for third, and he'll be in there without a throw. So runners at the corners here with one out for Max Marshak.
And boy, was Dylan Noisy due for a base hit right there, and he comes up with maybe the biggest one so far for the Mariners, because now we've got runners at the corners with one away, and another guy who's kind of due for a hit up at the plate.
Looked like he kind of got jammed too as he took that one out to left field. It was just a little flare over the head of Ian Fair. And here comes Max Marshak, who, as you mentioned, due for a hit. He's 0 for 3 today. Marshak was not in the lineup yesterday, and then he was in there against the Bourne Braves. He had the lone hit and the lone run score for Harwich. Get the feeling with Winkle at third, probably not going to see any kind of a safety or suicide squeeze here, although Marshak has been trying to lay down bunts left and right in this game, but the tying run is just 90 feet away. Here comes the first pitch. He does square to bunt, but pulls it back and takes ball one. Another breaking ball zipped in there by Dylan Moore.
Very interesting to see what the Mariners do here, as shows bunt but pulls back. The thing is with Marshak, he's not one of the most patient hitters out there, as he's just got one walk compared to 16 strikeouts, so this might be one of those situations where he really needs to be able to watch and wait for his pitch.
Big time at bat coming up here for Max Marshak, as a throw over to first base is just to check the runner back. Fair is over there holding on Dylan Noisy.
I think it's probably all but confirmed at this point that Will Heflin's getting the ninth, with Tommy Vale going 3 2/3. I think his night might be done, so no matter what happens, Heflin might be getting that last inning.
Another throw over to first, clearly very concerned about the speed of Dylan Noisy, and boy, you get the feeling he would probably have an opportunity to maybe swipe second and put the double play out of play, although it's going to be tough to get Dylan Noisy and Max Marshak doubled off in general.
Yeah, I'm a little bit surprised they didn't bring the infield in with all the speed at both first and the plate.
Marshak stands in, Moore comes to the belt. Here comes the 1-0 pitch, and Marshak will square to bunt, pull it back again, and the count is 2-0.
And Marshak's got some pretty good awareness of the plate when he's trying to lay down that bunt. He knows that pitch is going to be a bad one, and he's able to pull back. So with a 2-0 count, you wonder if he's going to continue to look for that bunt.
Max Marshak has not had an RBI in quite some time here for the Harwich Mariners. You got to go back at least a week to find his last one. Here comes the 2-0 pitch, and once again squaring to bunt, pulling it back, and this time taking strike one is Max Marshak. So with the go-ahead run at third base, Harwich just trying to find a way to scratch once again ahead of the Hyannis squad that has hung in this entire game.
And the big thing here is just try not to get ground into that double play. You do have a huge hitter on deck in Daniel Cabrera that you need to bring up in an RBI spot.
The 2-0 pitch. Squaring to bunt, pulling it back, and that'll be ball three here, as it's a 3-1 count.
So it's a big opportunity for Marshak. He's got a hitter's count. Again, just one walk on the season. But let's see if he can maybe draw a second one, and boy, would it be huge to have the bases loaded with Daniel Cabrera at the plate.
Noisy on first, Pat Winkle on third, Max Marshak will have to wait one more pitch here as another throw over to first to keep Noisy close. But the 3-1 count. Big time at bat here for Max Marshak, who digs in from the left side. Runners at the corners, the go-ahead run just 90 feet away. The 3-1 pitch. And it's going to be in there for strike 2. Marshak tossed his bat. He'll have to go and retrieve it as he thought that one missed. And it gets a chuckle from the crowd here at White House Field.
Sure, there probably isn't too many chuckles coming from home plate umpire Tim Carey, though, and Marshak probably didn't do himself any favors there, but the payoff pitch incoming, he's got to look to try to get a bat on something close.
He'll have to be awfully protective of the plate here, as you mentioned. Home plate umpires typically don't take too kindly to tossing the bat, so Marshak will stand back in here in the bottom half of the 8th. 3 balls, 2 strikes, the go-ahead run 90 feet away, and we'll wait again. That's another throw over to Dylan Noisy. That's the 6th throw over this at bat.
And I don't really blame him throwing over in this full count situation with Noisy's speed. I wouldn't be surprised if he takes off the second that Moore comes home, but once again, Marshak, big opportunity to give his team the lead.
David Moore looking in for the pitch. He'll come set. 3 balls, 2 strikes, go-ahead run. Once again, 90 feet away. Here comes the pitch to Marshak, and he'll foul it away as this at bat just continues to drone on and on. We've had 6 throwovers. We've had 3 balls that have been tipped foul, and now we have a full count here on Max Marshak. For Marshak this season in the 2019 campaign. Not too many RBIs. Payoff pitch. That's going to miss inside, and the bases are loaded for Daniel Cabrera with 1 away.
Yeah, great job by Marshak. A, he got him to throw a ton of pitches, and B, able to lay off that last pitch inside, and now all of a sudden, it's Daniel Cabrera, who's one of the biggest prospects in all of baseball and all of amateur baseball, with a great opportunity. He's already 2 for 4 today and responsible for 2 of the runs scored.
And now we will have a pinch runner over at first base. As it's going to be Riley Terada, and we all forgot about Riley Terada as an option. This will be his second action as a Harwich Mariner this season. He'll come in to run for Pat Winkle, so a late substitution here for Coach P, but he'll put Terada on third base, and he now represents the go-ahead run here in a tie ball game. 3-3, bases loaded here for Daniel Cabrera, who's already gotten 2 hits today, a single and a double. 1 away here in the bottom of the 8th, and the first pitch is going to be skipped off home plate for ball 1.
Yep, all Cabrera needs to do is get a fly ball in with Terada's speed. It should be enough to bring him home, but can't try to be too big of a hero here and swing for the fences.
Here comes the 1-0 pitch. That's going to be fouled back to the screen here as Cabrera will even the count up at 1-1. The Harwich Mariners have been in this position a number of times today. They've struggled to capitalize, but this has been the biggest opportunity they've had with the bases loaded. The go-ahead run still just 90 feet away, and Riley Terada and their leadoff man up to the bat in Daniel Cabrera. He'll watch the pitch outside for a 2-1 count.
And Moore not doing himself any favors with the amount of balls he's thrown in the last couple of at-bats. He's walked 2 guys this inning and hasn't been able to locate that slider very well.
And it seems like the tension's been dropping out of the bottom a little bit as these at-bats drone on and on here. A very quiet crowd here at White House Field. Moore comes set to the belt, the 2-1 to Cabrera. That'll miss in the dirt. It's a 3-1 count, and now he's at risk of potentially walking in the go-ahead run here.
And boy, that would be a death blow for the Harbor Hawks, who have fought hard to stay in this game. It's a 3-3 ball game, and have had to come back down runs a couple of times.
Moore comes to the belt. Cabrera digs in. It's going to be a big green light. The 3-1 pitch, and he will sky this one high in the air right at the third baseman as Olsen settles under it and makes the catch. And oh boy, the Harbor Hawks are just 1 out away from getting out of this one.
Yeah, that was a huge, huge out. 3-1 count, green light for Cabrera, but ball comes in. He can't get his hands around, and it's an easy pop-up. So Chris Galland, who's had quite a big game, reaching base 3 times, left to do it again if he wants to bring home the go-ahead run.
Galland is hitting .231 on the season, but he has just 5 RBIs. It would be a big-time 6th and maybe even a 7th if he can drive in the run here. Today he has reached base 3 times, a single, a hit by pitch, and another single. He grounded out to the pitcher in the 7th, and the first pitch he sees is going to get away, but Tirada will wisely hold up as it didn't bounce far from Adam Hackenberg. And with the 1-0 count, the bases stay loaded.
Now we got a righty warming up for the Harbor Hawks, and it looks like Joseph Quintal, so he might get an opportunity, especially if this game goes to a bottom of the 9th inning.
With a 1-0 count, Chris Gallen will stand in. Bases loaded, 2 away here in the bottom of the 8th. A 3-3 ball game here from White House Field, and an off-speed pitch will miss high and inside. Continuing to struggle with control here is David Moore.
And you wonder if Gallen might have the take sign on all the way until he gets a called strike, because Moore really struggling to keep the ball over the plate.
2-0 count, Moore comes to the belt. Here comes the pitch. Swing and a miss as Gallen certainly not taking there. And the count is 2-1 here.
Pretty late decision to swing at that ball as well. It looked like it was almost in the catcher's mitt when he decided to start his swing.
You wonder if the Mariners will ever have another opportunity like this here in this game. They had the bases loaded with 1 away. The bases are now loaded with 2 outs. Gallen digs in, Moore comes set. The 2-1 pitch. That's just gonna miss off the inside part, and once again, it'll be a 3-1 count with the bases loaded.
And I think you have the take sign here. I mean, I don't know why you should really swing at this pitch. You don't know for sure if it's going to be a guaranteed strike, and just one ball brings home the go-ahead run.
Moore has to be careful here. He sets size, the 3-1, and there it is, the take sign, a fastball down the middle, and the count is now full here on Chris Gallen.
Now the runner's in motion as well, so a base hit might be able to plate 2 with the speed of Noisy on second.
3-3 ball game, bottom 8th, bases loaded for the Harwich Mariners. Chris Gallen at the dish. 3 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs. Moore sets the payoff pitch, and it's going to be ball 4. The Harwich Mariners will take the lead on a David Moore walk here in the 8th. What a break, and that pitch was nowhere close.
And that's the second RBI in the game for Chris Gallen. A great plate appearance there. Payoff pitch ends up in the dirt, and now all of a sudden you bring up Nico Cavadas with the bases loaded.
Riley Tirada comes across to score, and yeah, Nico Cavadas could certainly pad on some much-needed insurance runs here as Noisy will move up to third. Marshak will move up to second. First pitch to Cavadas is going to miss in the dirt, and boy, I'll tell you what, David Moore is all over the place right now. He does not look very comfortable out there.
Yeah, and it's even harder now to pitch after knowing you just walked in that go-ahead run. Trying to find control here, and it's been really difficult this inning for Moore. 3 walks.
Next pitch to Cavadas will be popped high and back to the screen. Coming in is Hackenberg, and that one's going to be well over the press box. So the count is 1-1 here.
And quietly, Nico Cavadas has reached base 3 times in this game. He's only 0 for 1, as no official at-bat since the flyout in the first. He walked, was hit by a pitch, and then was intentionally walked.
So Cavadas, nowhere to put him here. They'll have to pitch to him. Here comes the 1-1 pitch. He'll swing at that one well outside and low, and the count here is going to be 1-2. David Moore, it'd still be a small victory to get out of the inning without giving up more than 1 run, but he has cost his team the lead. Moore's going to have to be careful here as he looks to finish off Nico Cavadas. Base is still loaded, Harwich with a 4-3 lead. Cavadas stands in from the windup, the 1-2 pitch, and that one's going to miss low and inside to even the count here at 2-2.
Now, you got to be careful if you're Moore, because obviously walking Cavadas won't do you any good, but also leaving a pitch over the middle of the plate definitely won't either, with Cavadas leading the league in home runs with 7.
The 2-2 pitch. That one's going to be driven out into right field, but right at the right fielder as Goodman squeezes it for out number 3. But the Mariners are able to strike for a run, courtesy of a run being walked in by David Moore, and they will now send out their closer to try to shut things down. Actually, they'll send out Will Heflin. That's just about as good. So 3 more outs to get for the Mariners. They lead it 4-3 here on the Harwich Mariners YouTube network. back to White House Field. Tyler Henry, Colin Casey, wholesale substitutions to give you an update on, as the new pitcher into the game will be Will Heflin. We'll get into him here in just a moment. But defensively, Riley Tirada will stay in the game. He will take third base, moving Nico Cavadas from third over to first base. And Mike Rothenberg comes in the stead of Pat Winkle as the catcher. And Will Heflin hasn't been put in this kind of situation yet this season, Colin, but he's looked awfully good all year long, and he'll look for one last final solid inning here to close the book on a very, very intense game.
Yeah, and another quick substitution report. He said Tirada's still at third. Now I believe Hal Hughes has been put in the game at second. They're going to keep Noisy in at short. So a lot of changes this inning for the Mariners.
So Hughes coming in at second base, as you mentioned, and let's take a look really quickly at Will Heflin out of the University of Tennessee. Heflin has been one of the brightest spots on this Harwich line, or on this Harwich bullpen, a bullpen that's pitched very well this season. And of course, Heflin this year will be going to the All-Star game, a fastball, a curveball, and a changeup. And so far, he's pitched 17 1/3 of an inning. He has a .52 ERA, 1 save, 20 strikeouts, 4 walks, and he's given up just 11 hits and only 1 run. Looks like it's going to be a pinch hitter coming up here for Hyannis. So to lead things off, it will be Rowdy Jordan, trying to get things started, as it was 7, 8, 9 due up for Hyannis.
Jordan will bat for Mitch McIntyre, who to this point was 0 for 2 with a strikeout, a flyout, but he also walked and came around to score the first run of the ball game for the Harbor Hawks.
So Jordan stands in from the left side. It'll be righty on lefty here. Favorable matchup against Will Heflin, as the Harwich lefty kicks and deals the first pitch, a fastball up for strike 1. So with an 0-1 count, Rowdy Jordan digs in, the Auburn native out of Mississippi State, hitting 120 this year, and that pitch is going to be in there for strike 2. Will Heflin gets out ahead here early.
I wonder if these guys have seen each other before, a couple of SEC teams.
Certainly get the feeling that they might have, as Heflin pitching for the University of Tennessee. You mentioned another SEC product here in Rowdy Jordan. Here comes the 0-2 pitch. That'll miss high and outside, trying to get him to chase to no avail. Jordan, another guy who's had some experience against the Harwich Mariners this season through the 3 and now almost 4 games that these two teams have played against each other. Here comes the 1-2 pitch. Swing and a miss, strike 3. Rowdy Jordan down on strikes, and Will Heflin is now just 2 outs away from giving Harwich a lead.
And real quick, of course, Heflin coming in getting a big strikeout, but how about Tommy Vale out of the pen? Gave up just the 1 run on 1 hit, but he struck out 8 batters in 3 2/3 innings. A very impressive performance out of the pen, and we're going to get another pinch hitter for the Hyannis Harbor Hawks. Chad McDaniel will hit for Hackenberg.
And McDaniel, another SEC guy out of the University of Missouri. So Chad McDaniel taking his first at bat this year, and the first at bat today, and the first at bat this season against the Harwich Mariners. First pitch he sees is going to miss high and away for ball 1.
Yeah, McDaniel comes into today, the switch hitting catcher, at hitting 200, 7 of 35 on the season. He's driven in 5 RBIs.
See if he can give his team a late boost here. Hyannis has clawed their way back twice already, but once again they find themselves trailing, as an off-speed pitch from Will Heflin will miss outside for ball 2. After a long pitcher's duel, Orleans finally able to take a lead in the 8th inning. They're up 1-0 on Katuitt, as Heflin's 2-0 is zipped in there for strike 1.
Of course, Heflin just 1 run allowed all season long, coming on July 2nd against Chatham. Still had a good outing though, pitched 2 2/3, striking out 4 batters.
Heflin ready with a 2-1 delivery from the windup, the pitch, and that will miss outside as well. So the count here, 3-1 on the pinch hitter, Chad McDaniel. McDaniel this year struck out 7 times, has walked just twice, now make it 3 times, as Heflin will put the tying run on here with 1 out in the 9th, and we'll see whether we will see Anthony Servideo or a pinch hitter here.
And it looks like Servideo is going to get an opportunity to swing the bat. The lefty is 0 for 2 with a walk in this one.
Things continuing to get
Number
more and more
13,
intense here at White House Field as
second
Harwich has seen
baseman,
this situation
Anthony
before. They took a 1-0 lead back in the first inning and then patted on a second run in the fourth. But the very next half inning, Hyannis tied things up with a 2-run inning of their own. It was 2-2. Harwich then went on to score in the seventh. Hyannis got it back in the eighth, and Harwich retook the lead just moments ago in their half of the eighth inning as Servideo watches the first pitch in there for a strike. So while Hyannis has battled back a number of times, they have not held the lead yet in this game, but they have the tying run on first and the go-ahead run in Anthony Servideo at the dish. Heflin ready, the 0-1 pitch, and that will miss low and inside for ball one.
Got a pitcher's duel out in Orleans as the Firebirds picking up a late run in the bottom of the eighth. Head to the ninth with a 1-0 lead over the Katuitt Kettleers.
Servideo still has 3 hits on the year against Harwich. He's reached base more often than not against the Mariners as the 1-1 pitch will miss outside for ball two.
Yeah, Heflin just 4 walks all season long. In his one win, he actually walked 3 batters against Katuitt. But now 5 on the season, including the one just a few moments ago to McDaniel, but he falls behind 2-1.
Heflin ready with a 2-1 delivery. Here it comes. That's going to be a fastball in the zone for strike 2, and the count here is even at 2-2.
Best case scenario is you get a ground ball in this game, and Heflin doesn't have to face the top of this Harbor Hawks order, including Jordan Westberg, who sits on deck 2 for 4 in this one.
So the 2-2 count. Servideo digs in again here. Heflin ready from the stretch. The 2-2 will miss outside. Good block by Mike Rothenberg, and it's a full count here on Anthony Servideo.
Yeah, definitely never easy as a catcher to come into a game without kind of loosening up and having to go right down into your crouch, but Rothenberg making it look easy like he's been in there the entire time.
One of the better defensive catchers we've seen this year. Here comes the 3-2. Swing and a miss, strike 3. It's Will Heflin's second strikeout of the outing, and now the Mariners are just 1 out away, Colin, from taking back a spot in the playoff picture for the first time in over a week.
And that would be some great momentum to have going into tomorrow against a Brewster team that's looking to battle back and take that spot back. But of course, still 1 more out to record, and the tying run is on first base with a power threat in Jordan Westberg at the plate.
Westberg, as you mentioned, has already reached base 3 times today. He was a single in the first, a double in the third, and an infield hit back in the 5th inning. He struck out back in the 7th. First pitch he sees, he waves that off speed there by Will Heflin.
Heflin, of course, selected to the All-Star game. One of 2 relievers for the Mariners, including Joe Boyle.
Here comes the 0-1, swing and a miss, keeping it off speed here and really not giving Jordan Westberg the fastball that it seems like he's been sitting on. And Heflin's got the Mariners just 1 out away. Jordan Westberg will dig in. He represents the final out of the day for the Harbor Hawks, who are looking to avoid their 23rd loss of the season. Heflin looks in for the sign from Rothenberg, comes set to the belt. He'll check the runner back to first and deliver the 0-2 pitch, and that will miss outside for ball 1.
A little bit of a waste pitch from Heflin, trying to see if Westberg will bite at something on the outside part of the plate. See if he tries wasting another one. Maybe he goes down low and tries to get him chase one in the dirt.
Couple of options here for Will Heflin with a 1-2 count. He comes set from the stretch, the 1-2, swing and a miss, strike 3, and that's going to do it. The Harwich Mariners take a victory finally, and a big one here over the Hyannis Harbor Hawks. And for the first time in over a week, and just the second time since the 3rd week of the season, the Mariners are in the playoff picture. We will come back to put the cap on it after this. Harwich gets the victory 4-3 here on the Harwich Mariners Radio Network.
The final score, the Harwich Mariners 4.
Welcome back to White House Field. Tyler Henry alongside Kyle and Casey here to put the cap on it for you. A 4-3 victory for the Harwich Mariners over the Hyannis Harborhawks. And Colin, maybe the most hard-fought victory we've seen this Harwich team put together all season long. They had to come back, or they saw a couple of comebacks, but were still able to remain resilient and find a way to get the victory here tonight.
Yep, finally a little bit of clutch hitting from the Harwich Mariners in this one, but the big ups goes to the bullpen in this one. Tommy Vale going 3 2/3, giving up just the 1 run on 1 hit. He struck out 8. Then, of course, Will Heflin comes in with a 1-run lead. Had that one hiccup in the walk, a 1-out walk, but 3 strikeouts, and he looked as good as ever. And, of course, the big-time take at the plate from Chris Gallen, drawing that go-ahead walk that would score Riley Terrata, and that made the difference. So definitely not the prettiest win for the Harwich Mariners against a team that is now 6-23-1, but a big one because now they put themselves back in 4th in the East.
You take him any way you can get him. So Tommy Vale comes in and gets the win, and we'll get into him in a minute, but what a game Tommy Vale came in and pitched today. David Moore gets the loss. He drops on the year to 0-1, and Will Heflin gets his 2nd save of the year. And how about Tommy Vale coming in pitching 3 2/3, 7 strikeouts, only 1 walk, and he gives up the 1 run. He is back to true Tommy Vale form, isn't he?
Yeah, and that's really important for the Mariners going forward. We know how strong their bullpen's been. They had a hiccup yesterday, though, of course. Weatherby and Joe Boyle had a little bit of trouble in the late innings, shutting the door on a game that they thought they had won with a three-run lead going into the 8th inning. And this time, they had given up that tying run in the 8th inning, but them being the home team, they got another opportunity and made the most of it. Their offense did. So this time they find themselves on the right side of 1-run game and some momentum to take going into the next game against Brewster. And all these games against the East count. Not too many Western games left for the Mariners, so you got to really be able to win these games against division opponents.
Hyannis drops to 6-23-1. They will be on the road tomorrow at Katuitt. Harwich jumps up to 14-17, and for the first time again, they will be back in the playoff picture here as they will take a half-game lead over the Brewster Whitecaps into Stony Brook Field tomorrow. But for Tyler Henry, for my broadcast partner Colin Casey, and of course our producer Matt Lucy, I'd like to say thank you once again for tuning in. You got this game right here on the Harwich Mariners Radio Network, a 3-4 victory for Harwich.